Well, I was looking for a prize for my new league, a belt or a ring or a nice trophy. My IDP guys went and had my back. The best swag online for champs is found on Trophy Smack. RING, that spells ring. TrophySmack.com has the bling. Good, so good, I have to sing. Go and check them out, they have everything. I can show that I'm the master of my craft. I'm a champion in fantasy and I won't let you forget that. RING, that spells ring. TrophySmack.com has the bling. Use promo code IDPGuys at checkout for a free ring on TrophySmack.com.
All right, welcome, boys and girls, back to another episode of the IDP Plus podcast, now sponsored officially by Trophy Smack. So if you heard the commercial there, use the code IDP Guys and you get a free ring with your championship merchandise for your leagues. Mike, have you used any Trophy Smack merch here in the past or seen any?
That I have. When I was at the expo last year, talked to Matt Walsh, the guy who was seen on Shark Tank, as Trophy Smack was. Amazing group of people they have there. I really love. I had the belt, had to give it up, lost the championship, but they got belts, they got trophies, they got rings, and with our code IDP Guys, you can get that free ring just for yourself with any purchase you got on there. So yeah,
absolutely.
Love them there. Can't support it enough.
So the beautiful voice of the commercial is my normal co-host, Matt Record. Tonight, we have an equally beautiful co-host, Mr. Double Underscore himself, Mr. Michael Sicoli. And we are bringing to you the week 4 games this week. So we're gonna jump right in and get to the reviewing. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me, man. Let's go.
All righty. So Thursday night's game, we had Detroit, Green Bay. Detroit, I think this game was a lot closer than the score, or a lot more dominant than the score. I think Green Bay kind of came back at the end there, but Detroit handled their business pretty easily. So for the IDPs, we had only 57 total available defensive snaps. A handful of players played 100%, mostly in the secondary. So our top scorer, Jerry Jacobs, had 37.9 points on the back of 2 interceptions, 4 passes defended, 5 solo tackles. From there, there wasn't a whole lot of points to go around. Our next highest scorer was John Kaminsky on the back of a sack, 3 QB hits, a tackle for loss, 2 assists, and 3 solos. We had Brian Branch with 14 points on 2 assists, 5 solos, and a pass defended. Aiden Hutchinson, 13 points, 1.5 sack, a tackle for loss, 3 QB hits, 1 assist, 1 solo. So kind of a low floor there on 95% of the snaps. Aleem McNeil, 12 points. He also got home with a sack. Tracy Walker played 100% of snaps as well as some special team snaps and gave us a couple tackles there, but only 11 points in total. Alex Anzalone did typical Alex Anzalone things on 100% of the snaps, 10 whopping points, 2 assisted tackles, 3 solos, and a pass defended. Derek Barnes with 8 points, Isaiah Buggs with 8 points, Charles Harris with 7, Jack Campbell played 61% of the snaps, also 50% on special teams. Came kind of crashing back down from last week. No sack this week. Only had 1 tackle for loss, 3 solos. Will Harris chipped in with 7 points. Ifedu Melowafnu is who I believe is the other safety, kind of filling in for the loss of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He played 81% of snaps, but only gave us 5 points with an assisted tackle and 2 solos. Cameron Sutton, a disappointing game on 100% of snaps at the cornerback position, only 4.5 points on a tackle for loss, 1 assist and 1 solo. And Big Levi chips in with just 1 point. So what are your takeaways from Lions there?
Yeah, I mean, the big takeaway from this game is kind of exactly what you started with, right? Was how dominant the Lions were. And subsequently, the Packers couldn't stay on the field on offense. So for someone like myself that took a Brian Branch over 5.5 tackles and somebody that has Brian Branch in a lot of leagues, because I love Brian Branch, he had to really work to get his tackles because there just wasn't a lot of opportunities. And that's why we saw lower tackle numbers and lower stats as a whole by all of them. because it wasn't one person hogging. It was just a lack of Green Bay Packers on the field, which kind of has been an issue for the Green Bay Packers all year. So that is something to factor in with future matchups against Green Bay, because they're bottom 5 right now, I believe, in plays per game. They're either scoring quickly or not scoring at all, and it's genuinely hurting IDP production.
Yeah, when you're ending, drives and turnovers or punts until the very end of the game, then you get 57 snaps to work with, and things are going to be kind of wonky and all over the place. Brian Branch only plays 70% of the snaps. We'd like to see that tick up closer to 80% to get a more even baseline.
Allow me to ease your concern. So the big issue that everyone was watching for, if you had Brian Branch, was that he hurt his ankle in the third quarter.
Right. Okay.
11 minutes left. Did not play until the final. I think it was like the final 5 minutes of the game. Randomly comes back in despite them leading by multiple scores. So him coming back in and missing a full quarter of plays, what I'm chalking up to missing those stats. He played 100% the week prior. So I'm still all in with Brian Branch being that being that strong that safety asset that we like in IDP. I do think Tracy Walker will have better days ahead. We saw the 100% he won, and he'll have better performances than this as long as Gardner Johnson is out. But it wasn't the day that we wanted. But that, again, I believe is a testament to the Packers and how poorly they played.
Right. The Lions team defense, if you're still playing team defense, had a really good day. But yeah, the individual guys, most people aren't starting Jerry Jacobs. Although if you are in a CB required league, he does play pretty much 100% of the snaps. So he is a good, Hail Mary option.
Yeah, he had a pretty good fantasy season last year. I don't mind him in cornerback leagues at all. Yeah.
There's just so many names at DB. You're going to feel he's
sure.
One of those guys that, like, unless you're desperate, it's like,
you play the matchup,
If you start him over a bigger name and then that bigger name goes off, you're going to feel like a dope. So you're rarely going to start him, until bye weeks start kicking in. It's tough. So it's a shame. I know.
Week of bye weeks, I was altering my lineups like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do?
Already in week 5, I know. So yeah, of course you had to have the week right before the bye week starts. So obviously don't count on that production game. Yeah, not a whole lot of takeaways here. Just when you don't have many snaps to work off, it is what it is. Jack Campbell remains a dynasty hold, a redraft, drop, or waiver wire guy. Alex Anzalone remains a redraft, like LB 3-4 conversation. Tracy Walker, a DB 3-4. I would think Gardner Johnson's probably going to miss the season. Those pecs aren't usually too friendly.
I wanted to check that because I don't think he's been placed on the IR yet.
If I'm not mistaken. Really?
I could be totally wrong. So I'll fact check that while you come up with something. But
you're fine. Whether they put him on the IR or not, I don't think he's going to give us a lot. Even if he happens to come back, maybe closer towards the end of the year. So, Derek Barnes remains a Hail Mary linebacker 4 or IDP flex play, playing 11 or more IDPs. Like, he's getting snaps, but he's just not that great. And isn't, Alex Anzalone is the run soaking up tackler guy. Whereas Barnes, Barnes does rush the passer, which is nice, but his production is going to be all over the place every single week. It's really frustrating. And I don't know. So not a ton of takeaways here.
The floor is just really low. The only other thing worth talking about here, we don't need to spend time on someone like Aiden Hutchinson, but Jack Campbell, once again, just failing to crack into this. Listen, the IDP people out there know Jahmyr Gibbs is not the only first-round Lion being shafted by Dan Campbell right now, because Jack Campbell should be playing more than he's playing right now. And, that is the risk with playing a Derek Barnes, is at any point you could see Campbell take a leap from 60% to 80%, and then Barnes drops that 50 to 60. So just worth noting going forward.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we've got the Green Bay Packers. So Quay Walker, another monster game, 30 points, 100% snaps, 10 solos, 9 assists, 1 tackle for a loss. He's an every week starter. Rudy Ford, who is playing 100% of the snaps next to Darnell Savage, but is kind of more of that free safety, did come up with a big game, 25.1 points on 100% of snaps, 7 solos, 1 assist, 1 interception, and 1 pass defended. So there's where he's propped up. Isaiah McDuffie sort of took over the linebacker 2 role for Devondre Campbell, played 61% of snaps as well as 57% on special teams, 15 points, 5 solos, 4 assists, not bad, and a QB hit. Devontae Wyatt, who of course I picked up last week. He's listed as DE. He's a DT. Didn't do crap for me last week. This week, 14 points on 59% of snaps, which is not bad for that rotation they have there. 3 solos, 1 assist, 2 tackles for loss, gets home with a sack and a QB hit. I was needing that from you last week, Wyatt. Carl Brooks, another rotational DT, 12 points on 41% of snaps, so not production you're going to count on. 2 solos, tackle for loss, got home for a sack. And a QB hit as well as a pass defendant. Those should have been Kenny Clark's stats when we get down to him. Rasul Douglas, 11 points on 100% of snaps, 4 solos, a tackle for a loss. Preston Smith gave you double-digit points. We kind of touted him last week as another potential replacement. He's kind of one of these hybrid linebackers for Devondre Campbell going out. He did okay this week, 67% snaps, 4 solos, 1 assist, and a QB hit. Would have been nice if he got home for a sack and had a couple more tackles, but kind of Isaiah McDuffie took over that role. Kingsley Enagbare, 9 points. Eric Wilson, 9 points. Darnell Savage comes back down to earth, 8 points on 100% of snaps, 3 solos, 2 assists. Colby Wooden, another defensive tackle rotation, 8 points. Teradale Slayton, 6 points, another defensive tackle. Justin Hollins, 4 points. Keyshawn Nixon, we don't do the special teams rewards, so I think he did a little better in those leagues, but only 3.5 points on 64% of snaps, 1 solo, 1 assist. If you don't get special teams rewards, he is waiver wire fodder, unfortunately. Carrington Valentine, a cornerback with 2.5 points. Lucas Van Ness, a higher snap count that we've seen in a couple weeks, 49% of snaps, but only 1 solo tackle for 2 points, nothing else. Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary at the freaking bottom, 1 point each. Kenny Clark, an assist with nothing else on 67% of snaps. And after the monster week when everybody wasn't starting him and now did this week, rewarded you with 1 point on 27% of snaps and 1 QB hit. So I want to start there with Rashawn Gary. This is how it's going to go. We said until he creeps up past that 50% mark consistently, he's going to be a complete Hail Mary and a complete make or break, sack or bust option. So he went nuclear last week, 3 sacks on I think he just under 40% of snaps, I believe. And this week dips all the way back down to 27. So still not there for a weekly starter and going to be very frustrating until he gets to 50% of snaps. So I'll let you take anyone else.
It's absolutely a shame for Gary because he's a great player. And that's why we saw that efficiency last year, last year and last week. But, and he's recovering from this ACL. He beat the timeline, came back early, and that's resulted in this snap count. So, like you said, just can't trust him. But on the other names there, Quay Walker is going to be that every week type of play. He just is, despite the boneheaded decisions he makes, particularly against the Lions, which more or less sealed the game for the Packers here and lost the game. You could see potentially some inner discipline. Who knows? Maybe he gets randomly benched. That's always possible. But I think we saw that last year as well. But it's not something that you can just predict. So for now, he's locked in your lineup. The 2 other names that I'm looking at here, Isaiah McDuffie really was just a result of Devondre Campbell not playing. Him being out resulted in McDuffie still only playing 61% of snaps, which is not a ton. So despite him racking up the tackles and very much a plus matchup here, it's something worth noting if Campbell does miss more time. McDuffie did not get enough work for us to totally trust him week to week. He just didn't. And the other thing I wanted to point out here, Rudy Ford, I have a soft spot for him. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of Thursday night, but I think he's a quality player. He got this. He got the snaps. And in what we're saying, it's so important for how we started this, right? I talked about the Lions going against a difficult matchup with Green Bay because they're just not on the field. It's the reverse for the Packers. The Packers defense is continually on the field because the offense isn't. And that's why we're seeing 75 snaps in this game on 100%. So that helps Packers players and why Rashawn Gary, who still plays a low percentage but more snaps than other teams, gets to be more effective. And why I think Rudy Ford and any 100% player on the Packers can really take advantage of how hit and miss the offense has been, and how many defensive snaps this defense is playing on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. I said that Rudy Ford kind of playing center field free safety. It's not totally true. He's basically splitting that time with Darnell Savage at free safety, and they're both getting play in the box and at slot. So it's going to be a complete flip flop with them all year, but both should probably be rostered at this point. Like you mentioned with the struggles on offense recently, that defense could be seeing the field quite a bit here. So Rudy Ford, in your deeper leagues, he's, I would say, pretty much an equal to Darnell Savage as far as upside goes. Savage has a bit more production to date, but like I don't know, flip a coin between both of them, honestly. Yeah, like I said, Isaiah McDuffie is probably your Devondre Campbell replacement if you still need one, but that's probably a super deep league if you're a normal 2 to 3 linebacker spots in a redraft league. You don't really need to worry about Isaiah McDuffie all that much. I don't think so. Anything else for the Packers?
No, I think we touched on it there. Just a little bit. Just it is disappointing with Keyshawn Nixon, especially after the hot start we saw. He's really limited to very specific situations where teams are running a lot of 11 personnel with the 3 wide receiver sets where he comes on the field. And otherwise, we see him with middling snap numbers, and you just can't trust a cornerback to be hyper efficient on low snap numbers.
He's still their slot corner, but he played 33 of his 48 snaps at slot, but they are giving time to Carrington Valentine, Darnell Savage, Rasul Douglas played a few.
They're filling the slot corner and just in general, they're secondary with multiple people. It's not one locked in L'Jarius Sneed, remind me of the Colts
Ed
corner.
McDuffie. Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore always holding down the slot, and we like that fantasy production. And they're just not using Nixon in that de facto slot cornerback role that we like sometimes.
He does not have that role all to himself. We'll put it that way. So it's a little tough to count on. And boy, that defensive interior is just a freaking mess. We had a guy 34 snaps, 27, 21, 26 between 4 different guys. Like very annoying. So it's going to be, Kenny Clark is by far and away the most talented of the group. But with that rotation, it's just going to be very difficult to count. Like I said, I tried to play the matchup last week with Devontae Wyatt, and he gets the sack this week out of that group, along with one of the other random guys. So, it's just really hard to count on. But if it's defensive tackle required, you kind of just have to roll with the punches. So, all right, I got to ask you, did you check out any of the Disney
it's a funny story because I have Sunday ticket, right? I was griping on this on Twitter and I paid up for it, man. It's an expensive thing. And I go to use it. It's not on Sunday ticket. I have to have Disney Plus. So I'm like, you know what? I Googled this, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus. I don't have ESPN Plus. So I turned on the Toy Story one. Yeah. Not for me. Not for me. I respect what they're doing. I love the tech advantage, the technological advancements we put into this. Just not for me. And then eventually I realized that it's also on Hulu and I can watch it normally. So I just turned on Hulu and then eventually ran to the Start Sit show. So it was good. And honestly, this was an IDP heavy type of game, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, the Disney cast, I gave it a shot, and it was pretty brutal to me. It looks like it's a good idea if they can work out.
It's just not ready yet.
Yeah, but man, I don't know how that held any kid's attention. It was slow and it was a little rough there. So I think they need some more bells and whistles going on in the background. But all right, we'll start with the Atlanta side. There were 66 total snaps available. Richie Grant took over, finally had himself a decent week, although him and Bates did well. But Richie Grant, 21 points on 100% of snaps, 9 solos, 2 assists, 1 QB hit. Jesse Bates right behind him with 18 points on 100% of snaps, 5 solos, 3 assists, 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hit, and a forced fumble. Our guy, the waiver wire pickup, Nate Landman, the linebacker. I have a rant coming here. I have a rant coming. 18 points, 82% of snaps, 8 solos, 2 assists, nothing else. Behind him, David Onyemata, the defensive tackle, 18 points on 67% of snaps. Pretty good for a D tackle. 2 solos, 5 assists. So he's very busy all day. 1 tackle for loss, 1.5 sacks. 2 QB hits, so he lived off the sacks there. Normally, those are Grady Jarrett numbers, but Onyemata, it was his day today. D. Alford, 9.5 points, the corner. Mike Hughes, the corner, 9.5 points. Calais Campbell, sighting with 8 points on 59% of snaps. 1 solo, 5 assists. So the interior guys were busy this game, but not really something I would count on Calais Campbell producing going forward. AJ Terrell, the corner, 7.5 points. Caden Ellis played 100% of freaking snaps, 7 stupid points. 2 solos, 2 assists, 1 QB hit. Here's my rant. Why were those Nate Landman stats not Caden Ellis' stats? I played him everywhere. Very, very angry, very disappointed. And not at Ellis. I'm angry at Landman. Get out of here. Get off the field. Let Ellis scoop up all the tackles. I don't know. Were they just sending him after the pass rusher? I don't know. I'll finish the stats here and we'll get back to it on him. Bud Dupree, 7 points. Grady Jarrett, 5 points. Jeff Okudah, 3. Arnold Ebiketie, 2. Taquan Graham, 1. What do you got for me on Ellis versus Landman here?
This is as bad as it could have went for Ellis. And I'm going to view it as a good thing. As the Ellis truther and has – listen, I know it sucked this week, but Ellis has been very good every single week. We have Troy Anderson sidelined. This is the role that the Troy Anderson one did happen. Like, this is how it would have happened if Troy Anderson was out there, chances are. Landman's a very athletic guy. It is what it is. These things happen sometimes. The floor is 7 points for Caden Ellis, and he hit the floor this week. You're going to have better ones going forward. The Falcons in general just didn't show up to play. Maybe it was something in the air in London, but either way, I'm forgiving Caden Ellis and moving on, and I'm happy for Nate Landman and glad I loved him in this spot. So I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I don't have to just prop both up sometimes,
I assumed so. I've been anti-Landman only because I figured they would be like replacing him at some point, which I still think could be the case. Okay. He actually graded out pretty well on PFF. He was the 7th highest graded player for the Falcons in this game, whereas Caden Ellis was graded very poorly. Now that was because he was in coverage on 8 snaps, as well as played the defensive line for 7, whereas Landman only had 2 of his snaps not playing the traditional box position for linebacker, only had 2 in the slot. So it looks like Ellis was on coverage a little bit more and also rushing the passer. We did not, unfortunately, get a sack this week. So, we'll just chalk it up to bad luck, but you're still rolling Ellis out there. He definitely has the higher ceiling. I think we've seen Landman's ceiling in this game, as well as because I do think he gets replaced at some point, but not necessarily rooting for it, just what I think might happen. It's nice to see Richie Grant have a good – yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask who's replacing him? Because I have an idea in my head, and the one that I threw around, I know Mike Wooler threw around, I know a lot of people did, is Rashaan Evans, right? Rashaan Evans returning to Atlanta. But until that signing happens, if it ever does, do you see someone on the roster replacing him?
Because not on the roster. No, I was expecting Evans, or I don't know who else might still be out there. It's like a vet that they might be interested in who never signed over free agency. But if you were an Anderson holder, you probably want to go get Landman. He definitely deserves a spot because if we're pretty much inserting Troy Anderson's stats. Anderson definitely more talented, but these linebackers aren't. The talent doesn't necessarily matter as much, right? Yeah, opportunity is king here. So pick up Landman. It was nice to see Richie Grant finally have a bit of a game. It's been the Jesse Bates show for 2 out of the 4 weeks. Neither of them did much in week 3 or 2. Beyond that, anything else for the Falcons?
No, I think the big thing to touch on, I think, were the linebackers. We touched on it. It's nothing new this season. continue to be disappointed that Arnold, again, I'm going to butcher the name. Ebiketie hasn't made the step that many were hoping he would. But aside from that, I mean, Bud Dupree seeing 74% of snaps is a very interesting number for him. He got half a sack in this one, only, one QB hit. I can't imagine he has much left in the tank at this point of his career. But it's been a long time since we've seen Bud Dupree be relevant, but 74% of snaps is certainly a good number for him. So I'm moving on to next week, more or less.
Hail Mary edge rusher for sure.
Yes.
All right. So that was the Falcons. And then we move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Darius Williams, the cornerback, has a huge game with a pick six, 36.6 points on 91% of snaps, 4 solos, 1 assist, his interception that was returned for a touchdown, 3 passes defended. Would have liked to seen that come from Tyson Campbell. He's the corner that, most IDP heads are rostering and starting, but hey, that's fine. Josh Allen, another really strong game after the injury in the down week 2 with 26 points on 76% of snaps, 3 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 3 QB hits, and a forced fumble. So a chock full stat line there. Foyce Aluakon doing his thing, 20 points on 100% of snaps, 8 solos, 1 assist, 3 tackles for loss. Andre Cisco, 18.8 points on 83% of snaps, 4 solo, 1 tackle for loss, 1 interception, and a pass defended. Tyson Campbell still had a really nice game, 100% of snaps, 5 solos, 1 assist, 2 passes defended for 18.5 points. Our Devin Lloyd replacement, Chad Muma, with a very solid game, 14 points on 3 solos and 4 assists, along with 2 passes defended. So nice that he added those little extra splash plays in there. Trey Herndon, the cornerback, with 11 points. Trayvon Walker with 10, the defensive end, got home with a sack, not much else to go with it. Angelo Blackson, the defensive tackle, 6. Rayshon Jenkins, a letdown game, 4 points on 97% of snaps with only 2 solos, nothing else.
Blame Desmond Ridder.
Facts. Roy Robertson Harris, the DT, with 4 points. Andrew Wingard chips in with 4 points. Name we haven't heard much this year. Adam Gotsis, 2 points. Yasir Abdullah, 2 points. Foley Fatukasi, 1 point. And Clavon Chason pops his head in for 1 point. So, Rayshon Jenkins, bad game because Desmond Ridder and that passing offense stinks. Still, you thought he would have chipped in a little bit more in the run game, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, right? Cisco comes away with the pick and had a handful of tackles there, so he stepped up this game. The Darius Williams big plays, great. Don't rush and grab him on the waiver wire. You can't. He plays a decent amount of snaps, but Tyson Campbell is the one who gives you the IDP production for the corners there. So, anything you got for the Jaguars?
Yeah, and I'll echo your point on Darius Williams. I liked him as a talent when he was with the Rams, but he's really fallen off since. This was his first interception since his breakout year in 2020 with the Rams. So to give you some idea of how long it's been since we've seen Darius Williams provide something for IDP, that's something here. Oh, he had a great game, so I'm happy he did. Josh Allen, once more, is a tremendous player that the Jaguars, frankly, probably don't deserve. Because once again, he has, I think, all but 2 of their sacks as a team this year, albeit in 2 games, which I view that as a positive instead of a negative. So Josh Allen's terrific, but always going to have a little bit of boom bust to him. And Chad Muma is as much of a plug and play as Devin Lloyd would be, if not a little bit more, because as we saw here, and I think we can see more often as well, and we've seen this before, 2 pass defended. Devin Lloyd doesn't do that. He just doesn't. Yeah. He's not that good at doing that. So that's why we saw Chad Muma play last year, and I don't think Lloyd's going to suit up this week. So make sure Muma's not on your wire or anything like that, because I think he's going to be in for another strong week.
Yeah, we get 1 more week of Muma. Lloyd's expected to come back week 6, so we'll see if that actually happens or not. I mean, hand surgery, I don't know. Maybe they'll probably end up being an annoying split going forward. But hey, while you've got 100% of Muma, exactly, you might as well use it. For 1 more week here. So I don't have much from this game other than
that's really it. You chalk up the safety play outside of Cisco. You chalk up Jenkins to Ritter not being able to throw anything beyond 5 yards, if that. So, yeah, we'll move on to the next team.
All righty, which will be the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins, this kind of a disappointing game. It was still a shootout. I think the first 5 drives were all touchdowns in this game, which was crazy. So a lot of IDP production available. So nobody played 100% snaps, but we had Andrew Van Ginkel as the top scorer in this game. 22 points on 76% of snaps. 4 solos, 1 assist, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, and 2 QB hits. So he comes through in place of, again, annoying and frustrating that Jalen Phillips missed this game. But, it looks like Van Ginkel is the Jalen Phillips handcuff, as weird as that sounds.
He's played really well this year.
I know, he has.
Like, it's very under the radar what Van Ginkel's been doing.
Yeah.
He's
earning a role.
His worst week is around 8 points in most formats. He's been a pretty reliable option, so it's something that I think we should start paying attention to.
If you grab them in best ball, it's a home run. I still when are you going to start him outside of like super deep leagues?
Tough to trust. It is definitely
exactly.
But if you can play him as a defensive lineman instead of a linebacker, I'm not sure which formats employ him as that though. I'm more interested at linebacker. I'm with you. It's a little bit tough.
Yeah, he's crushing Bradley Chubb, though. Bradley Chubb still sinks. I feel like this is probably a product of the Vic Fangio defense with Van Ginkel, giving us so much IDP production. So we'll see if it continues. David Long has a nice game and working his way up, 93% of snaps for 19 points, 7 solos, 3 assists, 2 TFLs. Very solid game. Big drop off from there. Our guy, Javon Holland, who's been crushing it all year, only 10 points, still played 95% of snaps, 4 solos, 2 assists, nothing else this week. Jerome Baker, 10 points on only 76% of snaps, 5 solos, nothing else. So let's take a break. Jerome Baker versus David Long looks like it's kind of working itself out. They gave the veteran the chance early in the season. We know that Jerome Baker kind of stinks via PFF grades and just with our eyeballs. And, he's been kind of a middling IDP producer. Now the job seems to be David Long's as that 100% or close to snap linebacker. So it seems like we flipped after, so if you held on after that rough week 1 for David Long, you're being rewarded now with pretty solid weeks now for 3 weeks in a row here after that.
Yeah, and the nice thing with David Long as well is that he's always been a very efficient tackler. He was in Tennessee. He can really rack them up. So even if his snaps dipped from, 93 to 76, like Jerome Baker, he can still put up IDP production in that. But like you said, Jerome Baker isn't that good of a player. It was a new defensive scheme. It was always going to be questionable whether he would hold down the same role he had last year, which wasn't that productive to begin with. So yeah, I like David Long. I want nothing to do with Jerome Baker, and it feels like I'm rinse repeating of every year related to Jerome Baker.
Facts. Behind him, cornerback Justin Bethel, 9.5 points. Xavier Howard, the corner, 8.5 points. Zach Sealer, again, listed as DE here. He should be a DT. 8 points on 74% of snaps, 3 solos, 1 assist, 1 TFL. He's a solid DT guy, kind of a slow start here, but hopefully picks it up. Kader Kohu, who had started off really nice, plays 100% of snaps, only 5 points with 2 solos.
Rough day for him.
Yeah, he got torched by Stephon Diggs all day.
Yeah, he was.
Oops. Christian Wilkins, normally a top DT, only 5 points, 72% of snaps, 1 solo, 1 assist, and a pass defended. So kind of a rough one there for Wilkins as well. Deshaun Hand, 5 points. Yeah, someone I want to talk about. Brandon Jones, only 4 points on 2 solos, but
I want to talk about it.
Played 100% of the snaps in relief for Deshaun Elliott. We think he was kind of being brought along slowly, still recovering from an ACL, and it was Deshaun Elliott's job. But with him out, kind of forced back into action, jumps right into 100% of snaps. He's someone that we know is super talented. Now, with the new system, maybe he was a product in only the 2 solos, but I'm excited to see that snap count jump. And if you've been holding to Brandon Jones, continue to hold, and let's see what we get here out of the next few weeks.
See, I'm going to go opposite on you here because I don't know that he's that talented. And if my eyes told me anything, that very long Stephon Diggs touchdown game because Brandon Jones did not wrap up and just bounced right off Stephon Diggs' shoulder. So, listen, I have some bitterness. All right. Anybody that tuned into the Start Sit show knows that halfway through, I had to replace Deshaun Elliott from my lineups and immediately went to pick up Brandon Jones. And I played him over guys I love. But brutal week. And I really do. Listen, I'm interested just because I want to see how he fits when Deshaun Elliott comes back. But he's not going to be a 100% guy when that happens. Deshaun Elliott will be, and he's been very productive on the tackle front this season. So with so many DB options, I'm fine cutting him. I have little expectations, truthfully, but it felt like something that they desperately missed Deshaun Elliott out there. And they went out and got him for a reason. He was productive throughout the year, and they missed him. They flat out missed him this week.
Yeah. Jones was playing more of the free safety role. He had the most snaps in that role this week. So yeah, maybe not great for fantasy. He was going after the quarterback last year. They didn't send him not once in this game. So yeah, if that role has totally changed, maybe you should be cutting. In deep dynasty leagues, I have him though. And I just feel like he's
deep dynasty. Sure, it's a whole different animal in dynasty. Why not? But just because we know what the upside could be. But new defensive scheme, we haven't seen him, in this scheme prior to this week. And like you said, he wasn't really used close to the line of scrimmage, and he was used as that direct replacement for Deshaun Elliott. So, if there was a game for him to succeed playing deep, probably would have been this one when the Bills dotted up deep, but just didn't do it. Just did not do it.
Totally. Bradley Chubb with a stinky game, 4 points, 83% of snaps, 1 solo, 1 assist, and a QB hit. Would have been nice if he got home for a sack. Calvin Joseph, the corner, only 2.5 points. Raekwon Davis, 2 points. Duke Riley, 2. Emmanuel Ogbah comes back down to earth, only 1 point for 1 assist on 29% snaps. We told you last week, don't go chasing based on the snap percentages he played and the blowout that happened. This is Ogbah's normal scoring, so drop him if you made the mistake of going out and chasing points on that one. So, all right. Anything else on Dolphins?
The only other point I'd say is I'm willing to forgive Kader Kohu in cornerback leagues.
God, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to note that out there. Brutal week, was absolutely toasted, not only for fantasy but also for real life purposes. 100% of snaps. Again, we're pointing out that only 2 Dolphins players did, and Kohu was one of them, and the other one was someone filling in for the player that normally does. So I still like Kohu going forward in leagues that we're starting cornerbacks and even some just DB flat out. So
same thing with Christian Wilkins. Just a kind of a weird game script, and they weren't running the ball, or they were running it very successfully. So not a lot of opportunity there for Wilkins, unfortunately. So, all right, we flick to the winners of this game, the Buffalo Bills. 65 total defensive snaps available. Matt Milano takes over for Terrell Bernard as the top scorer this week. Played 100% of snaps, 21 points on 8 solos, 2 assists, and a forced fumble. Gregory Rousseau gets home for 2 sacks, 57% of snaps, 20 points, 3 solos, 2 TFLs, the 2 sacks, 2 QB hits, and chipped in a pass defended. I'll stop on Rousseau. I'm probably one of the least fans in the IDP community of Rousseau. I don't, and it's more of a system thing. I believe that he's very talented. It's just hard for him to be consistent when he's playing 57% of snaps. You know what I mean? So I kind of hope he ends up somewhere else after his rookie contract or whatever.
It's like Josh Uche with the Patriots, or any good player with the Patriots, right? I like Rousseau a lot as well. I thought he was a raw guy coming out, and that length he has with his arms is he's been giving people fits for weeks, but it's just been difficult to get on the stat sheet for the reasons you've laid out. But very happy to see him do it in this important matchup as well. So maybe it's the type of game that gets him to jump up a little bit, but time will tell. That's purely speculative.
He's a guy I want in all those best ball drafts, but in like redraft or even dynasty leagues where I have to make a choice to start sit him, I just don't want him on those types of teams. So we had a pop week, kind of surprising too, with Tua like not taking sacks yet this year, and
they got home.
They got home a few times.
Yeah, yes. 5 times.
So right behind him was Micah Hyde with 19.3 points, played 100% of the snaps, no Jordan Poyer. 4 solos, 1 assist, 1 interception, and a pass defended. Teron Johnson wakes up finally this year. The cornerback has 14 points on 86% of the snaps, 3 solo, 1 assist, a pass defended, and forced a fumble. There we go. We know he can do that kind of stuff. Ed Oliver finally stringing together some consistency for a few weeks in a row here at DT. That kind of always been his calling card, not the most consistent guy yet. Again, him and Rousseau still young. They'll develop. It's fine. 13 points, 71% of snaps, which is good for a DT. 3 solos, 2 TFLs, gets home for a sack, and a QB hit. So very nice game there for him. Taylor Rapp chips in with 11 points on 100% of snaps. The safety, again, Jordan Poyer was out, so we see increased production from both Micah Hyde and Taylor Rapp this week. 11 points, 100% of snaps, 5 solo, 1 assist, nothing else. But hey, that's a good tackle floor for a DB. Tre'Davious White unfortunately went down with injury, but chipped in 11 points on 72% of snaps, 3 solos, a QB hit, and a pass defended. I think he'll probably be out. I don't know if we've heard news.
He suffered a torn Achilles. They confirmed that today, which is just brutal for somebody that
stinks.
Already battled from a really bad ACL tear. So
yikes.
Really, really tough. And that's definitely going to change how this Bills defense looks.
So, yeah, look for increased IDP production from Teron Johnson and probably Dane Jackson, who is coming up here soon. Daquan Jones, the defensive tackle, chips in 11 points, 55% of snaps with 2 solos, 1 TFL, 1 sack, and 2 QB hits. Terrell Bernard kind of comes back down to earth. He played 100% of snaps, only 10 points on 2 solos, 3 assists, and a fumble recovery. That sort of saved his day there. Dane Jackson, the corner, with 10 points, played 75% of snaps, 4 solos, nothing else. Leonard Floyd, he's going to live and die by the sack. Only 5 points this week, 54% of snaps, 1 solo, 1 assist, 2 QB hits. So he's still getting close. He just didn't get all the way home this week. Cameron Lewis, the corner, 3.5 points. Christian Benford, who previously was playing 100% of snaps. I'm not sure if he lost his job or what, or another injury possibly. I'm not sure what happened there.
He's just really, really bad, Steve.
He beat Ciaran Neal, their first or second round draft pick, who has been a healthy scratch so far this year.
Okay. Well, he's also really, really bad.
Well, apparently, yes. But now with White out, we might see Ciaran at least come back to the active roster.
Yes.
Perhaps. So only 2.5 points, 52% of snaps on a solo tackle for Bedford. AJ Epinesa, we said don't chase his points from the previous week. Only 2 points on 45% of snaps. Jordan Phillips, 2 points. Tim Settle, 2 points. Kingsley Jonathan, 1 point. So what else? You want to talk about Bernard versus Milano? We got, the flip-flop this week back to Milano.
Yeah, it's you're going to play both every week. They both have that high floor because of the tackles they have, and they're both good players, especially Matt Milano, who is a freak of nature. So, yeah, I mean, as long as both these guys have this 100% snap roll, you're going to roll them out every week. Sometimes you're going to get 10, sometimes you'll get 8, and sometimes you'll get 21. Like you get with Matt Milano, and sometimes you'll get even more. So it's a valuable role. You're going to take the lows with the highs, and they're still going to be a lot more highs than lows for both these guys.
Boom. Exactly. All right. Next game is Carolina, Minnesota. So Minnesota had 72 defensive snaps available. We start with, man, I'll tell you, there's something about me with these defensive backs. I was like out on Harrison Smith. I said, give me Cam Bynum all year for the rest of the year. Harrison Smith's old, washed, blah, blah, blah. I was doing the same thing for Hamilton a few weeks ago. I was like, maybe we should throw the B word out there. And Harrison Smith, 42 points on 100% of snaps, 8 solos, 6 assists, That's 14 total tackles, 2 TFLs, 3 sacks, 3 QB hits, and a forced fumble. Just a monster game. You're welcome to any Harrison Smith owners. Hey, listen, let me know in the comments, who do you need me to start talking or bashing and tell me, tell you that I don't like them, because then they're bound to produce the next way. So listeners, watchers, subscribers, let me know who you need help with, and I'll take care of it. I'll just bash them on here, and you'll get a great week the next week. So, which, by the way, these charts that you're hearing and or seeing, only available to subscribers on idpguys.org. Use our code here from the show, IDP +pod, 10% off. Give us a shot. Try us out for a month. Great written content, great charting, all the data. We've got snap tools, league tools, everything you'll need for your IDP leagues. Rankings, which we do offense as well. So we've got it all covered. Offense, we talk gambling. You hop in the Discord, we help you manage your team, do your ad drops, do your start sits, all that good stuff. So again, become a subscriber over at idpguys.org. Use our code IDP +pod, 10% off. But what do you got on Harrison Smith? Where did this come from?
I don't know where it came from, because a lot of people like my listen. I don't know. I'm not gonna act like I do, because this is a career high in sacks. Of he had previous career high of 1.5. He doubled that. Career high in QB, career high in combined tackles. It's a career day, right? I mean that's just how you put it. So, it was a disappointing day from medalists relative to 94% snaps. Relatively 12 points he still got there. Started a little bit slow, but it's these things that Harrison Smith is capable of, because they blitzed him this week like they hadn't in the past few. So we know he has that skill set. They just haven't really used him like this, and they decided game script wise this is what they were going to do. So maybe that's a Bryce Young situation. Maybe that's a want to put the rookie quarterback under pressure type of move. And they have 2 other good safeties to work back there. So, maybe we can see this going forward. We're not going to see this going forward. I'm not buying in totally. I'm just not. But he is such a class player that he has this in him, because he's such a good blitzer from the safety position.
Yeah. And a couple of historic games we'll get to later, but I mean, I guess I don't know what to say. We had, so right behind him was DJ Wanham with 28 points on 62% of snaps. I wouldn't personally go chasing him. Right, he had a scoop and score.
Yeah.
4 solos, 2 assists, 1 TFL, 1 sack, 2 QB hits,
good game without it,
and a fumble recovery. Right, so really solid. These are numbers we hope to get from maybe Marcus Davenport going forward. But I'm just not a big Wanham guy. So he had a great game, but I would be weary chasing that on your waiver wire, because he's out there. Cam Bynum still had a great game, 24 points, 100% snaps, 9 solos, 3 assists, and a forced fumble. So honestly, I'd still Bynum over Smith for me for the rest of the year. I don't care.
I agree. I'm with you.
Yeah. Jordan Hicks had a solid game, 18 points, 96% of snaps. 5 solos, 8 assists. You would like to see that ratio go more towards the solos, because we got nothing else this week. You mentioned Josh Metellus, 12 points, 94% snaps. I love it. Love to see that. 2 solos, 5 assists, and a TFL and a pass defended. So I like Metellus a lot. Marcus Davenport, Undertaker coffin gift. 11 points on 62% of snaps. He had a solo, 3 assists, a TFL, a sack, and a QB hit. So Marcus Davenport gets on. Maybe he's ready to play this year. Patrick Jones, 9 points. Daniil Hunter, only 8 points on 78% of snaps. Only 3 solos, 1 assist, and 1 TFL. So while everyone else was getting in on the sack action, nothing for Hunter this game. Very, very disappointing. Our guy Ivan Pace, only 8 points, only drops down to 51% of snaps, 3 solos, 2 assists, nothing else. So that kind of hurt us this game for the Pace truthers. Jonathan Bullard, 7 points. Byron Murphy, 5. Harrison Phillips comes back down to earth, only 4 points on 68% of snaps, 1 solo, 2 assists, nothing else. Dean Lowry, 4 points. Jacqueline Roy, 3. Caleb Evans, only 2.5. The corner had been doing great for IDP. Played 99% of the snaps, but only 1 solo today. Everyone else was super busy, so kind of just Evans' turn to have a Harrison Smith-esque game for this year, the prior games. And then Andre Carter, the rookie undrafted free agent, who a lot of people were very big fans of pre-draft process, only 1 point on 4% of snaps. So who else do you want to go into on the Vikings?
Yeah, this felt like a much needed game for Jordan Hicks, who has been very mid at best this season, it feels like, and it was very needed, a very good confidence boost to still get those snaps, to still get those tackles, albeit again with 5 solo to 8 assisted. Again, you like to see that ratio exactly flip. With Warner versus Davenport, again, you're seeing those guys pretty evenly split around that 60%. So that's scary. One of them's going to get the sack 1 week. They're both not going to get the chances that the Vikings are going to average 5 sacks a week is just not going to happen. And typically, especially without Danielle Hunter having a few himself. So you're going to be playing boom or bust with both those guys consistently. We've seen it from one of them before, and we've certainly seen it from Marcus Davenport with the Saints. Also, Ivan Pace. This is important, and something that I talked about preseason and felt pretty dumb about when week 1 rolled around. But Brian Flores with this defense just doesn't use a linebacker 2. I said this all summer, and it really doesn't trust it. We saw it with Miami. We saw it with Pittsburgh, and they use safeties down there, which is how Harrison Smith got used this week and how they've circled around all 3 of those guys throughout this season. So you can't play Ivan Pace. He's a fantastic dynasty stash. Why not? He looks great. But they use 50 to 70% of snaps on a consistent basis for that linebacker 2 role. And I'm not willing to gamble that Ivan Pace is going to be that effective and that efficient, because he has to be. I want him to be. I don't want to have him to be, if that makes sense.
We're all fans, but you're betting on the very.
You're betting against the usage, and that's for something that you want to be doing in IDP when there's so many other usage-based players out there.
Perfectly said.
Yeah, Harrison Phillips is the only other name I'll throw out there. Just disappointing. Like he's had a fantastic start, really disappointing. I'm gonna hope that he bounces back next week. I'm not gonna totally throw him to the wolves yet. And as for Caleb Evans, I'm going to say Bryce Young can't throw the ball, and outside of that pick 6, they scored 1 offensive touchdown, and maybe it's just a bad passing game. I think you'll have better games, 99% of snaps still against better passing offenses. Like
he was too busy getting sacked this week.
Pretty much.
Pace, you would be betting on the pretty ridiculous production ratio to the snap percentages. You see it in the safeties, right? It's Harrison Smith, 100%, Cam Bynum, 100%, Josh Patel's 94%. That's the story. That's what you need to know right there. So, yes, we love Ivan Pace. He's a great deep dynasty stash, but starting him in your lineups is going to be a bit of a risk unless you're pretty desperate and getting lucky each week. So, all right. On the Carolina side, we had there's just some goofy stuff going on here. There's injuries all over the place to Carolina.
So many defensive scores this week.
Yeah, there was a lot. And this is why we play IDP, so you don't have to rely on the stupid team defense.
Best week of the season so far.
You get the individual players who are doing all the heavy lifting here. So we had Xavier Woods replacement in Sam Franklin return an interception to the house. So 98% of snaps, 29.9 points, 2 solos, 2 assists, the pick 6 with a pass defended. So outside of pick 6, it would have been a very Xavier Woods type day with the low tackle for. Behind him, Jeremy Chin with Undertaker gift, 18 points. So on only 65% of snaps, 6 solos, a TFL, gets home for a sack, a QB hit, and that's it. So we got to talk about Jeremy Chin here. 65% of snaps. You still can't bet on him and this production going forward, right?
It's the same situation, or a very similar situation to Ivan Pace. You're betting on the talent to beat out the usage. And whenever you do that, that means the floor is just so low.
Yeah, he's going to kill you.
Yeah, Jeremy Chin is a fantastic player, and I firmly believe that he's a really, really good safety. But at 65% snaps, especially 31 defensive snaps as a total this week, which, I haven't tracked the Panthers' defensive snaps this year, but that is a horrifically low number. As a team playing, 49 snaps is a horrifically low number on defense. So, they're a run-first team. They're a slow-paced offense, and that's hurting this, and it's hurting Jeremy Chin's chances to be reliable on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. He's tough to trust. Mr. Gross Matos gets home with 16 points on 60% of snaps, 4 solos, 2 TFLs, gets home with a sack, 2 QB hits. Not a guy that I'm super a fan of. We got to figure out the linebackers here, right? KGH, Camus, Grugier Hill has the best game of the linebackers at 13.1 points, but 29% of snaps. Do I have that right? Is that typo? Like 2 assists, gets a pick, an interception, and a pass defended to save his day. Frankie Louvu played 100% of snaps, didn't have a very good game. Deion Jones was inactive. Where did all these snaps? I guess they were playing Jeremy Chin.
That's what I'd hope, and that's how he beats the low snap number, is if he's really taking a majority of those snaps in the box, because that's what his play style is, right? That's what we wanted him to be, and that's what his size says he can do at safety, especially if they're going to play Sam Franklin, Von Bell deep. They have those 2 guys deep, and they can use Chin in the slot and in the box. So instead of playing questionable linebackers like KJH or Deion Jones or Chandler Wooden. Yeah, I don't know, man. But like why do that and just play Jeremy Chin down there? And that's what they went with. And it was mixed results for the Panthers defense against the Vikings, but to be expected. So ultimately very positive for Jeremy Chin, but very telling about how they view the other linebackers not named Frankie Louvu.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Carolina. CJ Henderson, the corner, 12.5 points. Von Bell, 11 points on 100% of snaps, 4 solos, 3 assists. Not bad. Frankie Louvu, only 6 points on 100% of snaps, 1 solo, 4 assists. He got banged up last week. I mean, he still played 100% of snaps, but maybe just isn't quite right. Or, sometimes they're not going to give you monster games every week, but definitely disappointing to see that stat line. Do you got anything on Louvu?
I mean, I'm going to chalk it up to the Vikings dotting up the secondary, and the way the Vikings, play the game is that they typically are throwing the ball a lot.
Right.
We saw Madison get his fair share of tackles, so you wanted to see more out of Louvu this week. But like we said at the top of this, 48 snaps as a team defense, it leaves 0 margin for error for anybody out there. Even playing 100% at 48 snaps is just not a lot to go with. So you're going to have low floor games when the defense is not on the field as much as they were this past week.
Absolutely. Shy Tuttle, 4 points. Deshaun Jameson, the cornerback, 3.5 points. Derek Brown, the DT, 3 points. Very disappointing game from him. 79% of the snaps, only 3 assists. So yikes for Derek Brown. But like you just said, tough run game. Deshaun Williams, 3 points. Troy Hill, 2.5. Dante Jackson, 2.5. Justin Houston, 1. Chandler Wooten, 1. And Brian Burns. Is this 2 weeks in a row with basically nothing? Brian Burns, 2 points on 90% of snaps, 1 assist, and a QB hit. So he got the hit on the QB, but what, especially with the linebacker issues, like what is going on with this defense?
He did get a sack last week. We'll give him that credit. Okay. It was 2 weeks ago.
But nothing else, right?
2 weeks ago, he had that 2 tackle dud game, and I'm gonna. Listen, I love Brian Burns. I believe in him as a player, and there's going to be matchups that are better than other ones. But the Panthers are trailing in most games. It's less drop back opportunities, less chances to get sacks. And again, with the low snap numbers that they just played on defense this week, and the fact that, listen, Yetter Gross-Matos had a great week on paper, this week.
It should have been Brian Burns numbers.
They truly just don't have a good secondary edge rusher, and I really do believe that prevents Brian Burns from hitting the ceiling I hope that he could still hit. I still think it's possible, but he has to be Max Crosby levels of good. to overcome the lack of help that he has on that entire defensive line, not named Derek Brown. I'll give him some credit with Derek Brown.
I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but if your league doesn't give 4 points or more, if your league gives 4 points or less for sacks, Brian Burns is a potential waiver wire guy. Like in shower, like redraft leagues, not dynasty. He's rostered everywhere in dynasty. You got to hold him, even if your scoring sucks. But like I would consider that sucky scoring. If you have sucky scoring for your IDP league, I don't want much to do with Brian Burns right now. At least he needs to prove it for a few weeks in a row, because these games, if you have sucky scoring like that, your IDP starters are probably very low too, and he's killing you. He's going to lose you weeks here with weeks like this. Even the previous week, yeah, he got home with a sack, but there was like nothing else to go with it. So like, yeah, it's tough if you have crappy scoring or a shallow starting IDP league. Then
if it's tackle heavy, you can find defensive tackles that can provide better days on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's kind of where we're at. So yeah, weird stuff going on in Carolina. I don't know that we have a ton of answers yet until some of these injuries shake out. So all right, the next game is Denver Chicago. And on the Denver side, there were 72 snaps available, so pretty good. And we had some balanced production here. The edge rushers, Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, atop the list. So 24 points for Bonito, 67% snaps, 3 tackles, 1 assist, 2 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, 2 QB hits, 1 forced fumble. So filling up the stat sheet, the number 1 IDP for Denver. Cooper right behind him had a was it a scoop and score, carrying his day along with 2 solos, 3 assists, a TFL, a sack, 2 QB hits, and that fumble recovery for a score. With no Justin Simmons again this week, Kareem Jackson stepped up 22.5 points, 90% of snaps, 6 solos, 2 assists, and an interception, and a pass defended. Right behind him, Delrin Turner-Yell, who is the Simmons replacement, 21 points, 97% of snaps, 9 solos, and a QB hit, and a pass defended. Mr. Kingleton, Alex Singleton, 100% of the snaps, 16 points, 4 solos, 8 assists, nothing else. Damari Mathis, the cornerback, had 13.5 points. Pat Surtain, 12.5 points. Drew Sanders plays 79% of snaps. Okay, we got a decent game out of him. 12 points on 5 solos, 2 assists, but nothing else. We'd like to see some of those splash plays coming into play here. Jaquan McMillan, the cornerback, 10.5 points. DJ Jones, DT, 9 points. Zach Allen, the DT or DE, depending on where you play. Kind of another meh game. 8 points on 86% of snaps, only 4 assists. Did get half of the sack and 2 QB hits. Jonathan Harris, the D end, 5 points. Randy Gregory stinks, 5 points, 46% of the snaps, 1 solo, 2 assists, and a QB hit. Matt Henningsen, 2 points, and Elijah Garcia, 1 point. I think a lot to talk about for Denver here.
Yeah, listen, I've had a soft spot for Bonito since Michigan. I thought he was a good prospect, and I'm happy to see him taking this type of step here.
Yeah, breakout week.
Yeah, they needed him too, and he's still young, so this upswing is something I think could continue to we could see is more than I think I want to trust a guy like Jonathan Cooper to do that. Delaware Turner-Yell, that's a very productive day. We're hoping hoping to have Justin Simmons back, and that would immediately send him right out of the picture. But if not, he seems to be on the streaming radar, with how much Denver is getting dotted up by even Chicago this week. Mm-hmm. Damari Mathis continues to be picked on, which boosts those tackle numbers, even by Justin Fields. And Drew Sanders, with Josie Jewell out, mostly took advantage of his opportunity. Still a little bit lower on the TFL and sack number, even potentially that we want to see. But still, ultimately, a good day. 79% of snaps is passable this week because of how much they played on the week. Again, 79% of 72 is still good. 79% of the league average of 57, 58, not as good. So just something to factor in that I truly believe this defense desperately misses Joseph Jewell, and that's why they've struggled as much as they have last week and this week.
Yeah.
But DJ Jones was entirely a product of the Chicago offensive line. There's currently a clip going just viral right now that I retweeted myself.
I saw it earlier.
You saw that? Yeah, that was down. DJ Jones got his only QB hit of the season.
Because you're like, not exactly Aaron Donald here.
Runs away from him. I just don't get it. God. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up. I like Zach Allen. I always have. It's an okay day, but it's it's an okay day. He's got 2 QB hits, and because I think he's a good player. But again, a lot of this is Chicago being as inept as they are, despite scoring 28 points and never doing anything in the second half.
Very true. Chicago, very friendly offense to play your IDPs against, especially your edge rushers. Great coverage. Yeah, Zach Allen, I was grabbing him everywhere in best ball. He's been kind of disappointing so far.
I talked you into him, and I feel bad.
I liked him now too. But it's coming though. I mean, he's playing the snaps, so I think it's still coming. Sometimes it's just a bit of a slow burn. So.
Still 2 QB hits.
All righty. On the Chicago side, another one up. I think we're at 3-1. TJ Edwards versus Tremaine Edmonds game. So, but not by much here. And this was, the IDP scores here are putrid. So
that's the opposite. It's always the opposite swing of we're talking about 71 snaps for that Denver defense, and you look at here and you see 48 snaps for the Chicago defense, and that's why you see such a drastic difference in scoring.
Exactly. So only 48 snaps available. TJ Edwards gets 17 points on 100% of those snaps, 7 solos, 1 assist, 2 QB hit. Tremaine Edmonds right behind him, 15 points, also 100%, 6 solos, 2 assists, 1 TFL. Terrell Smith, the cornerback, 14.5 points, played 100% of snaps, 4 solos, 1 assist, a TFL, and a pass defended. From there, we're single digits. Jack Sanborn still getting decent snaps. So, if one of Edwards or Edmonds goes down, definitely Sanborn will have a role. But just 9 points on 65% of snaps. Jaquan Brisker off to a very disappointing start. Only 8 points on 100% of snaps, 3 solos, 2 assists. I'm getting a little worried about Brisker. What about you?
I swore I saw him get a pass breakup in there, but I suppose that wasn't
maybe
static.
Stat corrections coming.
Maybe, who knows? But either way, it's 48 snaps as a team again this week. It's so hard to have big days with that. I'm still trusting the talent. I think the injury to Eddie Jackson has certainly not helped his fantasy role. Which, he was hurt. Eddie Jackson got hurt last year as well, and it didn't seem to impact Brisker as much, but they added so many defensive linemen that are all terrible that they're at least playing snaps, and we saw Brisker take snaps on defensive line last year fairly often, and I don't think we're seeing that as much. So, I'm trusting the talent to work itself out, but this was just not the week for it with how little they played on defense.
Yepper. Let me quickly check on Brisker there. As far as his alignments and whatnot, he's not being graded very well this year and has only 8 snaps in 4 games on the defensive line. So there you go.
Yeah, that's again. I'm gonna chalk that up partially, at least, to the Eddie Jackson situation and needing him to. It is chronic misusage of Brisker's skills because he is a tackler first. That is what he does so well. But that's the Bears, man.
Yeah, the Edwards and Edmonds are soaking everything up. He's playing a lot in the box, but he's just not. He's not getting the opportunities, probably because of Edwards and Edmonds. So.
Not Nicholas Morrow anymore.
Exactly. Who had a really nice week this week, actually.
Yes,
we'll talk about it. Elijah Hicks, safety, 6 points. Justin Jones, defensive tackle, 6 points. Tyreek Stevenson, the corner, who I thought would have a much better game, but it went to Terrell Smith instead. Only 5 points, but he did play 100% snaps. So I still like Stevenson and your CB. Well. Yeah, and your CB requiredly still a good good guy to roster. DeMarcus Walker, 4 points. Dominique Robinson, 4. Zach Pickens, 4 points. Greg Stroman, their slot corner, only 3.5 points. Andrew Billings, 2 points. Javon Dexter, 2. And Yannick Ngakoue has 0 burger on 85% of snaps.
Every
we know.
year he gets a high snap game. He does this at least. He will do this again this season. He will do this again
multiple times.
He is Giannis Goose Egg Ngakoue. It's just so freaking frustrating to roster him, which is why I don't. But this is baked in for him, man. He could have 2 sacks 1 week and 0 the next. And 0 points the next. So this is what happens. Although it's very difficult to do. Very difficult to play 85% of snaps and not get a tackle, but whatever. Man was eating popcorn on the sideline, I guess.
I mean, it's appropriate. It's October and he ghosted, right?
Oh,
ding!
Oh, I can end a recording right now. I should do it. Jeez.
All right, not much else to take away from this one. Flipping to Baltimore, we had 69 nice snaps available. Top scorer Roquan back on top, 22 points. Only played 87% of snaps, kind of because they kicked the crap out of the Browns, so he didn't need to play the whole game. 6 solos, 4 assists, TFL, QB hit, and 2 passes defended. Brandon Stevens continues to have an awesome start to the year at corner, especially if he's a corner eligible in your league. He's amazing. 18.7 points, 100% of snaps. Only 2 solos, but got a pick and a pass defended. Did he return that?
No, he didn't. But Brandon Stevens is the player I played Brandon Jones in for at the last minute. Yeah. So I watched that pick live. Yeah.
So that's why you hate Brandon Jones this week.
That's why I hate Brandon Jones and why I love Stevens, who's had, like you said, has had a fantastic start to this year.
That's the kind of energy we like to have here at the IDP Plus Pod.
Bitter.
Grudges and
grudges and bitterness, but
going on rants
based in fact. All right, based in fact.
Absolutely. Kyle Hamilton, 18 points, 100% snaps, 5 solos, got also an interception and a pass defended.
100% bailed out with a last-second interception that just was meaningless as hell. But listen, I'm happy he got there because he's a quality player.
60-minute game. Patrick Queen right behind him, 17 points, 91% of snaps, 4 solos, 1 assist, 3 TFLs, 1 sack, 1 QB hit. So gets home for a sack. Very nice. Geno Stone continues to play well in relief of Marcus Williams, 16.6 points, 100% of snaps, 2 solos, 1 assist, got an interception and a pass defended.
IDP's most disrespected safety.
Yeah. When he plays, I mean, he's not good enough to.
It's just we've seen so much of him since Marcus Williams. We've seen so little of him. So.
Last year and this year, Geno Stone has been a great fill-in. So he's the ultimate handcuff. He's the ultimate IDP handcuff, right? Arthur Mollett, the corner, 13 points. Broderick Washington, DT, 12 points. Justin Matabuke, 10 points, gets home with a sack on 57% of snaps. Only 1 solo, 1 assist, 1 TFL, the sack, and the 2 QB hits, but he's very talented. Tavius Robinson, the edge rusher, only 8 points, 50% of snaps. Ronald Darby, the corner, 7.5 points. Malik Harrison, we see some life for the linebacker, 6 points. Devian Clowney, the most overrated both player and IDP of all time, 5 points on 57% of snaps, 2 solos, 1 TFL from him. Travis Jones, very promising second-year guy, only 5 points on 39% of snaps. Brent Urban, 5 points. Kevon Seymour, 5 points. Kyle Van Noy, newly signed, 3 points. Rock Ya-Sin, 2.5, and Daryl Worley, 2.5. So what else?
My number one takeaway is I can't believe Ronald Darby is still in the NFL, but that's a testament to how injured this Baltimore cornerback room really is right now. And I'm very excited for the eventual return of Marlon Humphrey. But
I think he was close this week, but not quite there.
Yeah, and I think honestly a lot of this is just kind of chalk, right? We play Roquan, we play Brandon Stevens until he cools off. I play Kyle Hamilton, despite your disrespect. Patrick Queen, I'll play. Geno Smith, I'll play. And listen, Madubuike, the defensive tackle, it's such a shame because I really believe he's a good player, and he was very highly productive in small snaps last year. And I was hoping to see a bigger increase. This is still more snaps than he played last year, and 57%. But you know, he's a highly productive guy that needs to be highly efficient. And outside of DT specific formats, it's probably not someone not on the radar. But I do still like him to have an eye on. But outside of that, everyone below that name, even Mullet and below, I'm just not that interested in.
Got it. All right. On the other side, the Cleveland Browns. What a poor showing with no Deshaun Watson. Nobody played 100% of snaps, but we had the linebackers atop the scoring for once. JOK, Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah, 16 points on 79% of snaps, as well as 32% of the special team snaps where he recorded some stats. 6 solos, 2 assists, and 2 TFLs. Anthony Walker, same thing, 71% of the normal snaps, 64% of special teams where he chipped in. 6 solos, 3 assists, and a QB hit. So decent games from them. I'm actually a Sione Takitaki guy, so I'm waiting for him to overtake one of them or one of them to get injured. But
don't buy into
none of them.
This to me is I don't buy into JOK, don't buy into Anthony Walker. It's nothing against them. It's just that with this we didn't see the snaps really change. And Baltimore has allowed the most tackles to linebackers so far this season entering this game. And I imagine after leaving this game, it's still exactly that. So this was somewhat foreshadowed by a incredibly plus matchup. And on a side note, I don't know if I've ever seen a team play both their 2 starting linebackers on special teams as much as the Browns do, even without Joe Woods there and doing this. So I don't get how they run their linebacker room. I truly don't. Maybe I'm just not smart enough because of how well the Browns defense is playing outside of this week. But I'm not buying into the strong weeks for either Walker or JOK.
Totally. That's why I had that on there because I thought that was kind of interesting. The starters chipping in on special teams there at a pretty decent amount.
It's not 1 or 2 plays. Yeah.
Beyond there wasn't much to go around. Greg Newsome, the cornerback, 12 points on 88% of snaps. Maurice Hurst, the defensive tackle, 12 points on 40% of snaps. So don't go chasing that. Juan Thornhill, 11 points on 97% of the snaps. A decent enough safety and super deep, leagues that play 4 defensive backs with IDP flexes, maybe.
He'll burn you as much as he'll help you.
Exactly. You'll never guess right.
Some days he'll have big tackle days, and other ones he'll have 3 to 5.
Myles Garrett does get 11 points on 79% of snaps. He did get home with 1 sack, 3 QB hits, a TFL, but only 1 assist and only 1 solo. So not the monster game we had from last week, but he still gave you a sack. So if your league rewards sacks appropriately, he had a good enough game to get you double-digit points there. Martin Emerson in the corner, 11 points. My guy, double O, Agbania Okoronkwo, 11 points. Only 53% snaps, but he gets 2 solos, 2 TFLs, got home for a sack, and a QB hit. Sione Takitaki, 10 points on 53% of snaps. Grant Delpit, kind of a down game. Only 8 points on 97% of snaps. Just 3 solos, 2 assists with nothing else. And that's where he's normally the linebackers stink, so he's got way more tackles, and he'll chip in splash plays. Just kind of had a down game. Continue to start him with confidence, right?
Yeah, I'm not overthinking this. Not overthinking this.
Yeah, good. Dalvin Tomlinson, 7 points on 60% of snaps. Jordan Elliott, the DT, 5 points, 50% of snaps. Shelby Harris, 5 points, 38% of snaps. So a nice rotation going on there on the interior, as well as with the edge guys outside of Myles Garrett, unfortunately. So none of them are going to be consistent. Someone's going to pop each week. You'll never guess which one is the right one. Rodney McLeod, 4 points on 33% of snaps and also on special teams. Zadarius Smith, only 1 point on 59% of snaps.
Really disappointing.
Who do you got? Double O or Zadarius Smith the rest of the season and in Dynasty?
I mean, I think it depends on what you're looking for, right? I mean, if you want a somewhat tackle floor, I do think OO has that, double O provides that a little bit better.
Yeah. I
Man,
think his sack floor is better too.
it's frustrating because I was very high on Darius Smith in this defense going into
a lot
the
of
year.
people were.
Yeah, I was, and it's not proving very effective. It's sack or bust for Zadarius Smith, and Double O just has a better chance of getting those TFLs. So I guess I'll have to switch over to Double O at this point.
Yeah, he's a little younger, and I just think he's trying to prove his worth.
It's honestly somehow more effective than the passing downs right now for fantasy.
Yeah. Good. I agree. Double O is the man. I mean, Zadarius, you kind of have to hang on, but maybe age just kind of getting to him at this point, or just slumping. Alex Wright had just 1 point on 29% of snaps. I think he had a sack last week. Again, we told you don't chase that. Low snap counts. Here he is with 1 point. Denzel Ward, an unfortunate game. 0 burger.
Too good for his own
of snaps. I mean, the Ravens with injuries to wide receivers. It was the Mark Andrews show. I thought Zay Flowers was going to be way more involved, and he wasn't. So that kind of sucked.
Yeah, it's the situation that goes with really strong cornerbacks, that there are plenty of games where quarterbacks just don't really want to throw their way, because why not? We can pick on someone else, or we just want to avoid that altogether. And picking on, the linebacker room against Mark Andrews was probably the right way to go based on how the game went. But looking at this whole lineup as a whole, I think we touched on almost everything here. The only thing that stands out to me, just Myles Garrett left the game with that foot injury late. Was seen with the boot on the sideline, but all reports since have been fairly positive. He's currently day-to-day with that foot injury, so just keep an eye on that ahead of their next game.
Yeah, let's really hope he's okay.
Yeah, that changes a lot of things on this entire defense. So
yeah. All right, next game, Houston and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, 71 snaps available.
Doesn't matter because they're all terrible.
Yeah, but not a lot of production here. So Minka Fitzpatrick, he leads the way, 18 points, 7 solos, 4 assists, nothing else. So that's a good floor game from him. Would have been nice for a splash play. Where the heck? This one pisses me off. This is like Landman versus Ellis, right?
It bothers you? Yeah.
Elandon Roberts with 18 points on 59% of snaps, 5 solos, 5 assists, a TFL, and a QB hit. What happened? We'll get to Quan Alexander, but only 38% of snaps. Why? Quan Alexander was playing really good.
See, the Steelers right now are known for one thing, and it's one thing only, and it's plane troubles, right? Failed to take off last week, didn't take off the runway leaving Houston this week. And the entire team, I don't think, showed up to this game. So they suck. They're terrible, and it's kind of an issue. I'm bitter because of how badly they played in this game. Yeah. But fantasy wise, this happens with Elandon Roberts occasionally. That the Texans were just up, so we saw a thumper like Roberts have a little bit more of an efficient day. Cole Holcomb has not seized the opportunity that he has had in Houston, in Pittsburgh this year.
Right.
So I'm more upset with Holcomb than I am with Roberts in this situation, because it's Holcomb that is supposed to be the hyper-efficient guy, and he just hasn't been this year. Minka Fitzpatrick, the points aside, and the lack of splash plays show this. This was his worst game as a pro. His worst game as a pro. He was abysmal, and that's why he had as many tackles as he did. So I think we can expect those pass defenses to go up going forward and have those tackle numbers drop to offset it. He's still going to be a strong guy out there, but this whole team is in a tough spot right now, and they had 0 sacks against the Texans, and we're going to get to that as we get lower on this list.
Yeah, really, really rough game all around. It's just so annoying to see these snap counts flip on their head week to week with no really good reason. It feels like
it's like floors never left.
Yeah, that should have been Quan Alexander's tackles and points. Like, very annoying. Levi Wallace, the corner, 15 points on 100% of snaps. Patrick Peterson, the other corner, 12 points on 100% of snaps. Cole Holcomb, for a linebacker playing 89% of snaps, 11 points of 4 solos, 3 assists, and nothing else is not what we want to see. Although he got the double digits, still feels like a stinky game, you know.
Have not gotten the games we've gotten very consistently in Washington.
Exactly. It's kind of rough rostering him right now and starting him like most people are. It's tough to look away from 89% of stats, but man, he's just not giving us he's not showing up in the stat sheet. Keanu Benton, the rookie DT, 9 points on 41% of snaps, not bad. Alex Highsmith, 7 points on 89% of snaps, doesn't get home for a sack. Did have 3 QB hits, so he was close. 1 solo and 2 assists. Keanu Neal, the safety, 7 points on 63% of snaps. Larry Ogunjobi, the defensive tackle, 6 points on 65% of snaps. Montravius Adams, 6 points on 58% of snaps. DeMonte Casey, the other safety, 6 points on only 48% of snaps. My guy Quan Alexander down here, 6 points on only 38% of snaps for 1 solo, 3 assists, and a TFL. Very annoyed by that. Don't know what's going on. We'll try to dig into Twitter and figure it out. Again, once we figure it out, that will be on the written articles. 2 subscribers for IDP guys. IDP plus pod 10% off. DeMarvin Leal, 6 points on 30% of snaps. So we've got a ridiculous interior rotation going on in Pittsburgh with no Cam Hayward. It is, they are throwing it against the wall and hoping something sticks. And nothing is really sticking right now. It's a different guy each week, it feels like. And then the big disappointment, we'll finish off quick. Chandon Sullivan, the corner, 2 points. Isaiah Loudermilk, 2 points. The DT. TJ Watt, only 4 points, 87% of snaps, a solo, an assist, and 1 QB hit. How did they not get to CJ Stroud with no Laramie Tunsil?
I'm gonna blame JJ Watt for this one. All right, he set the stage. Not only earlier this week did he say that TJ Watt, has no chance of being the MVP, but should pretty much. And then he was also, listen, I'm disappointed in TJ Watt. I totally forgive him 100%, 1000% because he's a fantastic player.
Of course, the way he started.
Brother was inducted into the Ring of Honor in that game. Come on, play a little bit better. Show up. Yeah. Show him up. But yeah, you forgive and forget TJ Watt. I still forgive and forget Alex Highsmith despite kind of a run of bad form, at least on the box score. I still think he's a fantastic player, and I'm trusting him to get it right. Ogunjobi, listen, it's not a great week from him at all, but has it been surprisingly productive the last few. So just something to keep an eye on. I think you could do worse than Ogunjobi in DT specific leagues, depending on how deep you are. But otherwise, this team is just bad, and that's why bad teams you see 2 cornerbacks and a safety being their top 4 scorers of the week is a testament to how much they were picked on by CJ Stroud. So, listen, this was as bad as it could be got for Pittsburgh, and I think we're going to see a lot of different outcomes. Like this list, I think is going to look tremendously different next week. Yeah, just because this was the floor. This was as bad as it could have went for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Absolutely, fair enough. All right, wait, I gotta mark it. Hold on. Okay, well, on the Houston side, we're gonna flip to Houston now. We had anybody play? No, nobody played 100% of snaps, but they were pushing the 56 to 60 range available. So not a lot to go around. So this was a very top-heavy IDP scoring game. Jonathan Greenard shows up. I would have liked this to be Will Anderson, who had a very down game, but Jonathan freaking Greenard, 23 points on 54% of snaps. 4 solos, 1 assist, 3 TFL, 2 sacks, 3 QB hits. So monster game for Greenard. But again, 54% of snaps. Maybe there was a tension down Will Anderson.
Left tackle Dan Moore left the game halfway through. Broderick Jones, rookie, first-round pick. Everyone wanted him to start. Looked abysmal and out of his element, and that's the play that Kenny Pickett got injured on. So left tackle was just a rotating door. For the
Glad
Steelers.
We have the Steelers fan to give us
that's what I'm chalking up Greenard's big day to. But plenty of people that had big days on Houston's defense here.
Absolutely, yeah. So Greenard, maybe be careful chasing that. It just feels like that you ain't getting that every week. Let's put it that way. Great best ball target. Redraft, definitely a waiver guy deeper dynasty, of course, he's a hold, but you probably didn't start him this week. You'll start him next week, and he'll have a Will Anderson line of 3 points probably. Steven Nelson, the cornerback, had 20.3 points on 88% of snaps, 3 solos, 1 assist, carried his day with the interception, and a pass defended. The next guy on the list here, I have a special little audio sound here. Christian Harris. So Christian Harris chips in with 19 points on 90% of the snaps, as well as 24% specialties, 6 solos, 7 assists, so 13 combined tackles. If you get just points for total tackles, this was a very nice game. Of course, he gave you nothing else, but he might be back. Graylin Arnold, the cornerback, 14.5 points on 71% of snaps. 5 solos and assists at TFL. Henry To'oTo'o, 13 points on 95% of snaps, 3 solos, 4 assists, and a TFL, and a pass defended. So he's giving you the splash plays, but Harris stole all his targets. So we still want To'oTo'o as the main guy, right?
Yes, still pretty confidently I want him. And this is with Denzel Perryman out, who we're, correct, I think, tentatively expecting to suit up this week. And okay, that's why I'm still hands off Christian Harris. I've never been a big Christian Harris guy, and Denzel Perryman will return as a 90 to 100% snap guy, and To'oTo'o will be right next to him.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's just funny to see. Harris is this ultimate roller coaster guy.
That's
right?
The Steelers, man.
Yeah. So if you're a To'oTo'o guy, you're pulling a Steve rant here by saying those should have been his stats, not Christian Harris. As abysmal as Harris has been, he was the number 1 graded player on this defense this week. So I don't know. Maybe this gets a little muddier than we would like it to be going forward.
Canada was the number 1 graded player on the Houston Texans defense this week.
That's probably very, very true. Shaq Griffin, the corner, 12.5 points on 95% of snaps. If you need a Hail Mary in the CB league, he had 3 passes defended. So nice game there. Jerry Hughes, old man Hughes, wakes up with 11 points, 51% of snaps on the back of a sack, 2 solos, an assist, a TFL, and a QB hit. Jimmy Ward, who I expected to have a little bit better of a game, only 9 points on 88% of snaps, 2 solos, 2 assists, and a forced fumble. Jalen Petrie returns to only 7 points, though. 95% of snaps, which is good to see, but 2 solos, and thank God he had a forced fumble, because if you had just gotten the 2 solos, it would have been even rougher of a week. Petrie and Ward, what the heck?
I'm chalking this up to the Steelers having 0 passing game the entire game. And again, to what we talked about before, it's playing the matchups where if teams can't push the ball downfield, the safeties aren't just not going to get that many, looks to get tackles and picks and pass defense and all that. So it's a positive to me that pitcher returned and played 95% of snaps. This was a win to me. Disappointing Jimmy Ward as well, but not totally off. I do want to see him bounce back in a better matchup going forward.
Absolutely. Love it. Sheldon Rankins, the DT, 7 points, 59% of snaps. Kurt Hinish, 5 points, 51% of snaps. Dylan Horton, 4 points, 34%. Will Anderson, 3 points, 61%. So he's playing more than Greenard by a little bit, not much. Only 1 solo, 1 assist. That's it.
I can't believe how poorly he's playing this season. Or not even how poorly, I don't even know how poorly. Truthfully, I can't speak to that, but how the lack of production he's putting up is really shocking.
Yeah, started his career off good. Week 1 was great. 2 was okay, but 3 and 4 have been rough. So yeah, we'll hope for some bounce back there. But yeah, honestly, you could probably bench him until he proves it for a couple games in a row. Of course, you're going to miss out on those games.
This was a good matchup for him. Didn't take advantage.
Yeah, this feels like TJ Watt, right? Like, show up, man. You're franchise guy just got inducted. Why don't you show you're the next guy? And nothing. Blake Cashman still alive, 3 points on 20% of snaps. So all the people that rushed out to grab him, that we told you don't chase that. Here you go. You're rewarded with 3 points. Malik Collins, 2 points, 63% of snaps. Khalil Davis, 2 points, 29%. Eric Murray back to the bench, basically 1 point on 27. So you start your Petries, you start your Ward going forward. You bench your Will Anderson. You take a Hail Mary on Greener, but you probably bench Greener. You start your Henry To'oTo'o. If Perryman is back, you bench your Harris. Anything else?
I'm fine playing Shaquille Griffin. Just he has such a long history now of being hyper targeted by quarterbacks or just getting a lot
Very
of
true.
So as long as Stingley's out, Griffin's getting a lot of snaps, and he typically has a pretty high floor in games where he does that just because quarterbacks look his way a lot. So just something to keep an eye on there as a potential streaming option as well.
Beautiful. All right. Rams, Colts. The Rams had 64 snaps available. Ernest Jones, the breakout continues. 19 points, 100% of snaps. 4 solos, 6 assists. We'd like those to flip-flop a little bit, but a TFL, and he gets home for a sack. So, I mean, Ernest Jones is – I feel like the IDP points are, hovering around this, 14, 15, 16, 19 range. We're just waiting for him to break through those 20s, but I think it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. Right. Yeah. So not much to say there. We still think he's a stud. He's a weekly starter, even in start one linebacker leagues. For me, he's there. Aaron Donald, the old man still lives, 14 points, 81% of snaps, 2 solos, 2 assists, 2 TFLs, gets home for a sack, and 2 QB hits. Good matchup, exactly. Christian Roseboom, 12 points on 55% of snaps. Also 59% on special teams, so he chipped in some work there. He's the linebacker too, but no thanks.
It's as dicey as Ernest Jones was last year.
Exactly. Yeah, so not a lot of IDP production beyond here. Russ Yeast continues to be a solid, deeper league safety. Played 98% of snaps. He's right around that 100 range. 11 points on 4 solos and 1 assist and a pass defended. So, he's a Hail Mary option every week for the most part.
And I can't remember his pass breakup on who it was on, but I remember it being an incredible play as well.
Yeah, so he's showing some talent.
Yeah.
The 2 corners, Darion Kendrick, 8.5 points, Kobe Durant, 8.5 points on 98% and 70% of snaps, respectively. Kill Witherspoon, 8 points on 100% of snaps. So busy day for the corners. Michael Hack, 8 points, 95% of snaps. So he outbeat Byron Young this week. I do like Byron Young more going forward. They're playing about the same amount of snaps. Hack had 1 solo, 4 assists, and a pass defended. So it's fine, but nothing to write home about. Byron Young absolutely has the higher ceiling of those two.
Yes.
Jordan Fuller, the safety, only 7 points on 100% of snaps. The Colts weren't really moving the ball through the air. Kind of the same issue we saw in the Pittsburgh-Houston game. The safeties, not a lot of opportunity despite playing 100% of the snaps. So
better days ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Both Fuller and Yeast are pretty solid options going forward. Bobby Brown, the defensive tackle, 7 points on 50% of snaps. Jonah Williams, 6 points on 52%. Byron Young, only 4 points, but played 95% of snaps. So the rookie is getting, more than enough opportunity. Only 1 solo, 1 assist, and a QB hit. He's still right there around the quarterback. If he adds a sack to this total, it's a good day. So I still like him in league starting 4 DLs. He's a almost locked in DL4 weekly starter. DL3, maybe more of a 50-50 type guy.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Kobe Turner, the DT, 4 points, 53%. Quentin Lake, the safety, 4 points on 14% of snaps. DeJuan Johnson, 4 points, 8% of snaps. Laurel Merchant, 1 point, 19%. So what else you got on the Rams?
I really think we touched on it, truthfully. I think we went through it well, and it's one of those defense that is hyper focused on where the points are. The safeties will have good. Ernest Jones will be great, and
very top heavy.
You're picking up a cornerback every week, really. So
exactly, yeah. But the main guy to highlight, Byron Young. I would say
I forgive him.
with confidence going forward there in your deeper league. So, all right, on the indie side, 82 snaps available. So we had some really good games, but not from some of the names you would expect. Deo Adiingbo is the winner with 28 points on only 59% of snaps. He had 5 solos, 2 assists, a TFL, 1.5 sacks, 4 QB hits, a pass defended, and a forced fumble. A chock full day in the stat sheet, but are we counting on this going forward?
59% tells you no.
Yeah. He's
I've had
got talent.
I have, and I was hoping you would take advantage of the absence of Ngakwe, but
Yeah,
it's still tough just because of how much he splits with Abukum and obviously with Kwity Paye, who I like
exactly.
on a bad day. So it's going to be very hit and miss with Odeyingbo.
Don't chase him in your shallower leagues, but in your deeper dynasties, he's probably already rostered. So definitely nice to see that. Solid best ball guy if you're able to do waiver moves in your best ball league. But yeah, don't chase him in your redrafts just yet. This was just a very nice spike week. Kenny Moore back to life, 26.5 points on 100% of snaps, 5 solos, 3 assists, gets an interception, and 2 passes defended. Zaire Franklin doing Zaire Franklin things, 22 points, 91% of snaps. I believe he got injured towards the end of the game. Is that what? Yeah, I think that's what happened. But yeah, just doing his normal thing. Julius Brents is a guy I called out on our written content. Pays off here. I told you as soon as he would be back from injury, he would climb this depth chart and be relevant. So even in DB leagues, he's probably could be a solid DB4 going forward. But in quarterback required, he's must own and close to must start for me. He 21.96% of snaps, 8 solos, 1 assist. I mean, you can't ask for a better tackle game from a corner than that. And if he chips in anything on a splash play, it obviously just gets better. So he's a name that I really, really like for corner leagues. Julian Blackman behind him, 16 points on 100% snaps. So Blackman's good option going forward, right?
Very solid. Very solid.
Dallas Flowers, the corner behind him, 14.5 points, 96% of snaps. EJ Speed, 9 points, 55% of snaps. Samson Ebukam, 8 points on 62%. Rodney Thomas, 7 points on 100%. Shaq Leonard is dust, 6 points, 45% of snaps.
Crushing. The Shaq Leonard thing was crushing for me because I won't lie. He's been hovering around 70 to 80 this season, and I won't lie. I thought he would have that role again, and
he's dust.
Done.
I see Reddit,
but it's done.
I see Reddit posts, Facebook posts, like he's on my waiver. Should I grab it? No, don't bother. He doesn't play third downs anymore. He lost his third down role to EJ Speed, and it's close to
his snaps just got cut in half in a game where Zaire Franklin fought a back injury late in the game, and he did return. I looked it up. He did return into the game, but he was fighting through that, and we did not see anything from Shaquille Leonard. So
yeah,
EJ Speed took his lunch and ran away with it.
DeForest Buckner, a very down game. So what happened?
Came into it hurt.
Yeah, he was questionable, right?
I thought he wasn't going to play, truthfully, but chose to fight through that. And 24% of snaps tells you he wasn't healthy.
Yeah, so we got to watch his status going forward. Yeah. Kwity Paye, 1 point on 63% of snaps, 1 QB hit with all the work going to Deo there at the top. So Kwity Paye will be back, but yeah, just kind of a rough one for him. So anything else you got on the Colts?
Yeah, just the average note of what we're talking about in other games of Kwity Paye played 52 snaps in this game, which was 63%. We're talking about who was it before the Lions before, right? Their 100% of snaps was 48 snaps, which was less than what Kwity Paye's 63% was. So this was a lot of defensive snaps for the Colts. So we're going to see fantasy points dip just because 82 defensive snaps is going to dip, especially in an overtime game where it went. But just things to remember with how productive the whole unit was.
Yeah, start your studs with the Colts, basically.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we go to the Saints and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay took care of business. They had 65 snaps available. So you see Antoine Winfield topping the charts, 30 points, 100% of snaps, 6 solo, 3 assists, 2 TFLs, gets home for a sack, a QB hit, a pass defended, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery.
Yeah, he's a good player, Steve. He's a good player.
Start your studs, folks.
He's a good player. Yeah.
Vita Vea right behind him. The
good
DT,
player.
19 points, 68% of snaps, which is very good for DT. He had 2 solos, 1 assist, a TFL, 2 sacks, 2 QB hits, and a forced fumble. This was a great play. So Vita Vea is another one of these like up and down lumpy guys, but New Orleans was giving up like the second or third most points to DTs. We highlighted this in our written content and our written start sit and previews article. So pays off there with a very solid ranking in Vivea. D Delaney, the corner, 16.4 on 97%. Carlton Davis is back doing Carlton Davis things. 12.5 points on 100% of snaps. Zion McCollum, 12.5 points on 100% of snaps. So
it's been pretty stable.
A name to watch, yeah. Christian Eisen, the rookie, he's listed as a CB, so a little bit of a cheat code here. He's playing more of a safety role, which we'll have to talk about. Ryan Neal disappeared this game, and then due to injury. So Eisen fills in with 12 points on 72% of snaps, solid game. The linebackers, very disappointing. Devin White, only 7 points, 100% of snaps. Kind of just a bad game. Levante David, 5 points on 100% of snaps. So this was the Antoine Winfield and Vita Vea show. Everyone else is kind of meh.
This is the most frustrating linebacker room not named the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
It feels like so much talent and so much potential every single week. And at best, you get one of them. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, very, very frustrating for White and David, who both had great games last week. It seems like they're on this every other week schedule.
They pick and choose. I don't get it. They're still out there, so you still have to kind of trust it. But they're as hit or miss as 100% player goes. Like it's wild.
So yeah, Ryan Neal only 4 points on 3% of snaps and 4% of special teams. You said he got a concussion, so he'll have to. But it looks like Eisen is his replacement. So
yeah, it's the good thing to note again with Ryan Neal and the role that Eisen is going to pick up here. He had 2 tackles, played 2 defensive snaps. It's a good role.
He would have had an awesome game. Yeah, exactly.
No, and it's a shame because I have him in a lot of leagues too. But he'll be back and better than ever in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, it'll be Eisen stepping up.
Yepper. All right, on the New Orleans side, so Tampa Bay was okay. On the New Orleans side, we had 71 defensive snaps available, which is awesome. That is above the average, but we had putrid IDP production in comparison to those snaps available. So it was Isaac Edom, the corner, taking over the top scoring this week from Alante Taylor at the cornerback position. He had 24.5 points on 76% of snaps on the back of an interception, 2 passes defended, 1 assist and 5 solos. And then a huge drop off, but we had a nice little breakout game from the rookie DT Brian Breesy, 15 points, only 45% snaps. So again, you're not chasing this, but you're glad to see it in your dynasty leagues, right? 15 points on 45% snaps, 3 solo, 1 assist, 3 TFLs, gets home for the only sack on the Saints side, and a QB hit. So very nice to see out of Breesy, right?
Yeah, it's a shame just because we know he's not going to be able to build on this just because of how the Saints have chosen to replace David Onyemata this season. Exactly. It's that rotation of Breesy, of Kalen Saunders, Nathan Shepard, all names are going to be going through on this list, and Malcolm Roach, who almost the next one up here. It's just such a hodgepodge that you can't trust one of them to be the guy. Any week it could be any of them. It could be Kalen Saunders. It has been Kalen Saunders. So just a little bit frustrating, but definitely good in dynasty leagues, like you said.
It's a very Packers-esque interior rotation there. It's gross.
Yeah, this one works.
You'll never pick the right. Yeah, but for IDP, you'll never pick.
No, I know. I know. I'm making it about real life purposes.
Pete Werner, 13 points, 94% of snaps. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Honestly, 5 solos, 3 assists, nothing else. That's what Pete Werner does. He gives you, I guess, a decent tackle for and never gives you anything else. So
I like him.
People like him as an LB2. I say borderline LB3 guy. Not a fan. Malcolm Roach, the DT, 13 points, only 41% snaps, like we said. Tough rotation there. Marshawn Lattimore, the corner, 12.5. Lante Taylor, after the monster game, back down to earth at 8.5. Still playing 100% snaps.
Still rolling with him.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just
love Alante Taylor.
Corners and DTs and edge rushers. This is what they do. They break. They have monster games, and then you think you're going to keep getting that, and they come back with 8.5 points. Tyrann Mathieu only 8 points on 100% snaps. Kind of, he's been pretty disappointing. Cam Jordan 8 points. 86% snaps. Gets a QB hit and assist and 3 solos. So nice to see him come back from a really bad week last week. Demario Davis, only 7 points, 100% snaps. This is a tough group for linebackers, too. It's definitely Warner is the one you want. Zach Bond, breathes life with 7 points, but only 14% snaps. So that's high production. Do not go chase Zach Bond. Carl Granderson, 6 points on 79% snaps, 2 solos, 2 assists. He
hasn't done anything since getting paid, Steve. And
I know. My guy.
I'm a little bit concerned here as somebody.
It's only 2 weeks. 2 good weeks, 2 bad weeks.
I know. I'm just listen. Is it a coincidence? Just tell me it's a coincidence.
Yes. Oh no. Listen, a guy like Granderson, later round guy, when he gets paid, I think they appreciate it more than these top round guys on their second contracts and whatnot. So he'll be just fine.
Sure.
Jonathan Abram takes over as the safety
Marcus May replacement.
Well, last week it was someone who I don't think even made the list this week. So I don't know what to think there. 6 points, 79% snaps. Kalen Saunders, the DT, 5 points on 61%. Nathan Shepard, 4 points on 56%. Isaiah Foskey, 4 points on 14%. Lonnie Johnson, 2 points, 28%. And JT Gray, 1.6%. Anyone else on the Saints here you want to touch on?
No, I was looking up who that name was that you mentioned before, or that wasn't the Raiders bust. Jordan Howden was the guy that has been filling in the week before, but he was out this week. I don't quite have the injury here, but I don't think we're really chasing that. I
mean, he's probably a healthy scratch. Like he's just
he is marked as out on the depth chart. And he is listed atop it, but again, it's I like Marcus May to be a decent tackler, but I'm not chasing really anyone else in that role, and barely chasing.
No, don't. Yeah, do not go get Abram, the former first round.
Good God, Abram is terrible.
He stinks. So, all right. So we are at Washington and Philly. 71 defensive snaps for Washington available. Cam Curl goes off, baby. I think this was his best game of the year so far, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 27 points on 100% of the snaps, 9 solo, 3 assists. The TFL gets home for a sack and a QB hit. What do you got on Big Curl?
Do you want to take a guess on? I'm not sure if you saw my tweet or not, but how many you did? Yeah, you did. Okay. So Cam Curl on pace for 157 tackles this year, 98 solo. He is a cheat code. He is great. Yeah. Keep on playing him.
He's a monster.
Next person.
Start your studs. Emmanuel Forbes, the high splash play guy, corner rookie for the Redskins. 24 the Commanders. Listen to that. That's mush brain. 24.5 points, 92% snaps, 7 solos, 2 assists, and 2 passes defended.
He played really well in this game.
Yeah,
he played really well in run support for a cornerback.
Absolutely. Cody Barton did a decent game. 17 points, 100% snaps, 8 solos, and 1 assist. Benjamin St. Juste, a guy we've been calling out, playing 100% of the snaps. So in cornerback leagues, he should be a starter. He's playing all the snaps, 15.5 points, 5 solos, and a forced fumble. So nice game out of St. Juste this week. Jonathan Allen comes back to life, 13 points, 80% of snaps. Chase Young, 12 points on 89% of snaps. both of those guys got home for a sack. So, nice to see. Are we starting Chase Young with confidence? I mean, 89%
This was the best he's looked since the injuries.
He's
this
back,
was a really good game. And as an Eagles fan, I'm sure you saw him consistently.
It was
difficult to do that in this matchup. This was a hard matchup, despite a very good defensive line. So I have faith. I'm hoping for it. And listen, I talked about Carl Granderson's contract incentive. Chase Young has the same exact situation, but he hasn't got that deal yet. So I'm rooting for him, and I loved what I saw this week.
Yeah, Chase Young and Josh Allen chasing contracts this year. So I think as the year goes on, if they can stay healthy, they're going to just get better.
Christian Wilkins too. He's still waiting though.
Yeah. Jamin Davis, the linebacker, 12 points on 80%. Yeah, decent floor for him.
He looked really bad. Yeah. He looked slow, man. He looked.
Yeah, we know that he's not good, but he's okay for IDP.
Yeah.
Derek Forrest, this is the other safety, 10 points, played 100% snaps. Kendall Fuller, the corner, 7.5 points on 100% snaps. Montez Sweat, only 7 points on 82% snaps. The sacks went to Allen and Young and Curl. So continue to start him, just an off game. Same thing, Deron Payne, only 3 points on 94% snaps. They'll get there. Eagles have a great offensive line. So Abdul Anderson, 2 points, 8% of snaps. Casey Toohill, 2 points on 7. James Smith-Williams, 1 point on 23%. Takeaways right here is that Chase Young feels back and Cam Curl is a stud and Cody Barton's a solid LB2.
And you could send Jamin Davis to the trash can behind your McDonald's near you. So Philadelphia.
David Davis is saving his production with sacks lately, but you can't
rely on that. Good. It's not the type of player he is.
Yeah. All right. Philly is
head into your birds.
78 snaps available. We had Nicholas freaking Morrow, 42 points, 99% snaps, 10 solos, 1 assist, 3 TFLs, 3 sacks, 3 QB hits, 1 forced fumble. I mean, is that the most sacks of his career?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yes. I looked it up for at the moment, and I felt dumb for looking it up because yes, that is absolutely the career high for Nicholas Morrow.
So in one game, he has a career high in sacks. So
he didn't make the roster for this team.
This is what's so frustrating about IDP and this team in particular. We've been waiting for Hassan Reddick. He finally gets home, but gives us nothing else. But Nicholas freaking Morrow goes off for a random monster game. So he's going to be a hot pickup. Playing 99% snaps. Yes, he should be rostering. No, don't start him yet. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
As long as Dean's out, I don't mind starting him. I'm chasing the snaps more than I'm chasing the snap. I'm chasing the snaps and the tackles more than I'm chasing sacks. I'm not expecting that, but I mean, it's a productive role. We've seen that in years past as well as this season. So it's stinky. It doesn't feel good, but I'll take it. I'll play him as long as Dean's out.
We have to check the ID. We're gonna go to the IDP guys snap counts here because I mean last week I think he was like 40 some odd percent.
You might know better than I have, but I feel like Zach Cunningham has struggled despite putting up the tackle numbers. I feel like he has played poorly, and that's what was reflected in Morrow's increase this week.
Yeah, but is Morrow honestly any better?
He looked like it this week. I know he's not.
Yeah, but this week against the team who gives up the most sacks in the league, or at least the quarterback that takes the most sacks in the league. This is our handy dandy snap count tool. Why is Nicholas Morrow? Okay, so 47. Oh, okay. So he did play 100% of the snaps.
The Eagles weren't on defense, yeah.
47 to go to be available. All right. So maybe I'm being a little harsh on Morrow, but I don't know. It just feels like
it's because of how badly he was with the Bears last year in a similar snap type of situation. But
yeah,
Eagles are different. The Eagles are different. It's a different year, and we gotta just adapt to it. And I think Morrow, as long as Dean is out, is a capable play as any linebacker would be at 100% of snaps. Definitely
Fair
helped
enough.
overtime, but he put the damage in long before that.
Right. Fair enough. Everyone's going to pick him up. Everyone might start him. I just feel like temper those expectations a little
Fly, Eagles, fly, man.
bit. Darius Slay, 26 points, 99% snaps. He's normally not known for scoring IDP fantasy points, but
Not tackles.
he's doing awesome this year. So, hey, fire him up in your CB leagues and shit. He's DB 3/4 option every week. Zach Cunningham, 22 points, 85% snaps. So playing less snaps, but giving you solid production. Reed Blankenship, definitely a easy DB2 every week. 16 points on 100% of snaps. He's really doing well. Josh Sweat, 14 points on 67%, got home with a sack. James Bradbury, 9.5 points on 100%, not bad. Hassan Reddick, now it wasn't a monster game, but he finally shows up in the stats. 9 points on 67%, 1 solo, 1 assist, 1 TFL, 1 sack, 1 QB hit. So finally we get something out of Hassan Reddick, right?
Yeah. Listen, I decided to play him in one league, and it was not feeling good for a large majority of that. But listen, I know this was the week he got the cast off, and I know this was a perfect get right matchup. I still wanted more. I think you still wanted more. Everyone still wanted more.
Yeah.
But he got on the board, and that's the important thing.
I think this could be the start of the trajectory heading.
He started solo last year as well.
Yeah. I guess that freaking cast was that was the skeleton key here. So Fletcher Cox, 8 points, 74%. Josh Jobe, 7.5 points, 87%. Milton Williams, 6 points, 46%. Terrell Edmonds, shitty game, 5 points, 100% of snaps, 48% on special teams. So I don't know if that's a message or they're like, we paid you and you stink. So you're going to play some special teams.
I'll give you the Steelers insight. He's not that good.
You're right. Exactly. I think we all kind of knew that, unfortunately, but we're hoping. But yeah, it's the Reed Blankenship show for sure. Jalen Carter, disappointing. I thought he was going to tear this team up. Only 3 points on 46% snaps with 3 assists, nothing else. Man, was I disappointed on that one. Brandon Graham, 3 points on 36%. Jordan Davis, 2 points on 37%. Contavious Street, 1 point on 9%. So kind of a rough interior rotation going on in Philly as well. Fletcher Cox played 74%. So I guess, he's the floor play, and then Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are kind of your Hail Mary ceiling plays going forward for IDP.
Yep, I agree with that. I do.
All right. Next game is Tennessee and Cincinnati. On the Cincinnati side, we had 66 snaps available. Kind of a top-heavy game. Nick Scott and Dax Hill at the top, both the safeties. 20 points for Nick Scott on 92%.
Not see this coming not see this coming with these top 3 names.
I know, with this shitty Tennessee passing game, like, well, what the heck? So the secondary, tops everything. Dax Hill, 19 points on 98%. Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback, 16.5 points on just 56% of snaps. Sam Hubbard, very good game, 15 points, 70% of snaps. Got home for a sack and gave us his 4 tackle floor. That's not bad. Jermaine Pratt, okay game, 13 points, 94% of snaps. Trey Hendrickson, back-to-back weeks, gets a half sack this week, 61% of snaps. Miles Murphy, the rookie, finally gives us something in the stat column. 11 points, got home for a sack, but only 29% of snaps. So don't go chasing it. In redraft, in Dynasty, you're happy to see it, but you're not starting it.
Yep.
Chidobe Awuzie, 10 points on 85%. Logan Wilson, a stinker, 7 points on 100%. Only 3 solos, 1 assist, nothing else. So I think Derrick Henry was just busting through to the secondary. And
he was busting through the secondary and running out wide. I feel like they really avoided the interior of that Bengals defense, and that's why we saw lower tackle numbers for Logan Wilson. We saw a lower tackle day from DJ Turner and from Jay Tufele, who is just a rotational guy anyway. But DJ Reader, all the defensive tackles really had minimal days, even for DTs, and I think that's how they attacked them, was attacking the edges a little bit more.
Exactly. Mike Hilton, the corner, 6 points, 70%. BJ Hill, 5 points, 62%. DJ Reader, 3 points on 53. Normally, that's a very solid DT options at 62% and 53%. They just, had down games, but they are very solid in your DT required leagues going forward.
Yeah, again, I think it was just how the Titans really game planned well for this one.
Yeah. Josh Tupou, just 3 points, 36% of snaps. Jay Tufeli, 3 points, 18% of snaps. DJ Turner, the rookie corner, gets us some playing time, but only 2.5 points on 59% of snaps. Zach Carter, 2 points, 48% of snaps. Marcus Bailey, 2 points, 8% of snaps. And Joseph Osai shows up with 2 points, 8%. So
I wish Osai was doing more.
Me too. I took him in some best balls and oops. Not much here. Just kind of a weird game for the Bengals, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, I mean it's you start your studs with this one, right? You're still starting. I think the only person I really want to ask you about Jermaine Pratt. Are you still starting Jermaine Pratt?
Yeah, I already took benched him last week. Even he's not an auto start. He never will be. He's the clear second fiddle guy to
3-4 type of guy, right?
Logan Wilson. Yeah, he's a fringe LB3. If you have to start 4, he's in my lineups every week. But if you're starting 3, he's a fringe matchup play, basically.
I agree with that.
Logan Wilson clearly has the higher ceiling and is playing more snaps. So, but 94% was solid. I think that was one of his higher snap counts.
It was a very good bounce back.
All right. We've got on the Tennessee side, 53 snaps available, so not a ton. Azeez is back on top with 21 points. Azeez Al-Shaair on 100% of snaps, 5 solos, 4 assists, 1 TFL, 2 QB hits, 2 pass defended. So very chock full line. But Jack Gibbons right at his heels again, 16 points on 77% of snaps, 4 solos, 6 assists, and a pass defended. Kevin Byard wins this one against my guy, Amani Hooker. 15 points, 100% snaps, 6 solos, and a fumble recovery kind of helped his day out there. Roger McCreary, the corner, 13 points on 100% snaps. One of the best corner options you can have in a CB required league. He's an auto start in those kinds of leagues. My guy, Amani Hooker, 12 points, solid game on 100% of snaps. Glad to see him healthy and able to play 100% snaps.
I'd like to interject and just make sure we're saying our guy, Amani.
Okay, good.
You know I like Amani.
I know.
I just want to make sure.
I forget that you're team Hooker too.
Yeah. Hook them points with Hooker, man. That's it.
He had 4 solos, an assist, a TFL, and a pass defended. So it's still Hooker over Byard for the rest of the year, right? As long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a tough matchup for the safeties, and they both still came through.
Big Jeff Simmons gets his sack, 11 points on 87% of snaps. Sean Murphy-Bunting, 9.5 points, 98% of snaps. So another guy to pay attention to in your CB required leagues. Arden Key, it's going to always be a lumpy production for him. 9 points on 70% of snaps. Got home with a sack, but is never going to give you a tackle for. Perfect example, Travis Gibson. Do not chase it. Got home with a sack, but only 1 tackle, 6% of snaps. So basically, you have the 3 plays that he played. One of them he got home on a sack. Don't chase it. Christian Fulton, the corner, 7.5 points on 100% snaps. Danico Autry, 3 points on 72%. Harold Landry, disappointing game again. 3 points on 64%. He's a hold, but he's not a start right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, yeah, I know. He's working back from the injury. I think second half of the year he'll ramp it up. So hold. Tier Tart, 3 points, 51%. Rashad Weaver, 3 points, 21%. Kyle Pecco, 2 points, 15%, and Naquan Jones, 2 points, 13%. All of those were interior or edge guys that are pretty irrelevant. So, so really it's, Shaair and Gibbons for only playing 77% has been a very solid option. What is his overall? Yeah, I think that's about his average.
He's picking up around 5 to 7 a week on normally, or 5 to 10 a week, I guess. But he has that linebacker too locked in. There's like we noted here, there is no other linebacker on this list remotely close to him.
Exactly.
And that's what helps. That's what you need to be a productive linebacker too, is to be clear cut the linebacker too. So
Yeah,
it's not the most snaps, but he was productive. 77% is not the best, but
right.
he was. It's only 41 snaps. He was very productive on 41 snaps.
Yeah, he's playing about 72% on average. So that's, it's a little scary, but hey, while he's being productive, can't hurt. He's a solid LB4, I think. So, but yeah, we like Amani Hooker for the rest of the year.
Love him
more than Kevin Byard. So there we go. All right, we go to Vegas and the Chargers, a historic game, but we're starting with Vegas. There were 65 snaps available. Crosby, king of the mountain, 25 points on 100% of snaps. He's back to doing Crosby, and he was questionable in this game with an injury.
Questionable as well, and I got really nervous. 4:00 start time.
Me too.
He did not look limited.
He's a monster.
Yes, he is.
5 solos, 3 assists, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 QB hits. Just an absolute stud. He belongs in the upper echelon tier in the conversations with Garrett, Bosa, Watt.
No help as well, man.
Yeah,
it's wild what he does.
I love him. And if you don't know his story, he's a recovering addict. Just a great story. Great dude. Big Max Crosby guys over here. Trevon Merrick is the safety to own in Vegas. So previously was playing more of that center field free safety role. Even if he still is in that role, he's giving you production. So 23 points, 100% snaps, 6 solos, an interception, and 2 passes defended. He's a solid DB3 option going forward, on verge of a solid DB2 if he keeps this up. In your DT required leagues, John Jenkins plays 71% of snaps. He's had 2 strong weeks for DT in a row here, so he's someone to note in your DT leagues. 5 solos, 1 assist, and a pass defended. So not like a home run hitter, but like a very solid guy.
71% of snaps is a lot more than what you see from other DTs.
That is a lot. Yep, you're absolutely right. Marcus Peters, 11 points on 97% of snaps. David Long, the corner, 10 points on 58% of snaps. Don't chase that. Marcus Epps stinks, 7 points on 100% of snaps.
I thought you would have a good week. I got a little bit burned.
It's the marriage show, baby. All right, man, do you got anything for me on Divine Diablo? Only 7 points on 71% of snaps, 20% on special teams, for 3 solos and 1 assist.
My answer is the same one as it was over the summer, is that this is the Rob Spillane show, but he didn't really pull through either besides the snap. So
yeah,
listen, I don't have a good answer other than these things happen. And Diablo has also been the guy that has been highly efficient to make up for any reductions in snaps that occasionally do occur.
Right.
And today the efficiency didn't come through, so we saw the low floor. That's what happens with guys that aren't 100% ones, but even then, Spillane, a little bit disappointing on his end too.
Yeah. All right. Adam Butler, the DT, 7 points, 60% of snaps. Here's Spillane, 6 points on 100% of snaps. 1 solo, 4 assists. Tough, but that happens. Amik Robertson, the corner, 6 points on 91% of snaps. While Nichols, the DT, who I actually like him, but not playing as much as Jenkins, so 6 points on 49% of snaps. The rookie, Jacorian Bennett, takes a big dip in snaps this week, just 5 points on 40% of snaps. So might have lost his job. Don't know if he got injured, but something's going on there. Malcolm Kuntz, 4 points, 35%.
I like him, man.
Isaac Cooch, 4 points on 28% of snaps. If anybody has TikTok, you'll get that joke. I won't go much further into it. Luke Masterson, 2 points on 25% of snaps. The scumbag Jerry Tillery, 2 points on 12%. He got ejected.
Hit, man.
Yeah, that was bad. On a top 5 franchise QB. Yeah, that's
on your
just,
former team. They drafted him.
Well, that's probably why he was hyped up. Like,
that was bad.
Yeah, that was just a scummy hit. Nesta Jade Silvera, 2 points on 12%. Tyree Wilson, decent snaps, 45%, but only 1 point, 1 assist. The production is not there. You got to hold in Dynasty, but you don't like what you're seeing so far out of Wilson. Wilson.
No, it's something. It's a player that we knew was going to take some time to get accustomed to the NFL. But he's getting a lot more snaps now because they weren't planning to be without Chandler Jones, who is obviously dealing with his own mental situation and best to him. But Tyree Wilson has to play for them, and he's not ready. He doesn't look ready, at least. And he had a pretty silly penalty where he just launched himself into the line and just for no reason, and then they called it for him. So just still adjusting to NFL play. I do like Malcolm Kuntz, man. He has been productive almost every single week, just doesn't get the snaps. So Dynasty, I really do want to be stashing someone like him because he flashes and he just needs the opportunity. But redraft definitely still off the radar. Linebackers, you forgive. You talked about Moberg being a strong play at safety, and obviously John Jenkins we like as a heavy snap guy at defensive tackle, and Max Crosby is Max Crosby. So it's fairly clean cut in Vegas right now. We just got to forgive the linebackers for a truly terrible day.
Yeah, just kind of a funky week, which is evidenced by the next team, the Chargers. A historic IDP day from Khalil Mack. We had 73 snaps available, so a ton of snaps. Khalil Mack, in some leagues, if you have awesome scoring, he broached 100 points. But in our scoring, 59 points, 86% of snaps, 8 solos, 2 assists, 5 TFLs, a franchise record 6 sacks against his original team, the Raiders, 4 QB hits, 1 pass defended, and 2 forced fumbles. I'll let you start with the Mac reaction.
Yeah, listen, for listeners to the podcast of whether you listen to this after it comes out or not, but focus of the IDP newsletter this week, I'll tell you right now, it's Khalil Mack because he freaking earned it. A lot of fun facts about his historic day is going to be in that, so be sure to check that out because I don't want to give away too much of them now, but a lot of fun stuff about how historic this type of day was. But I'll give one right now. 9 of his 16 sacks for the Chargers. Guess who they've come against?
The Raiders.
He has a gripe with the Raiders. This wasn't necessarily an Aiden O'Connell thing as much as it was he just performs against the Raiders. I think the last time he had a multi-sack game was against the Raiders. He has a bone to pick with them for how they treated him on his way out. So he's great when he really wants to be great, and he wanted to be great this past Sunday.
All right, my rant is going to be about starting lineups and my crusade to adopt best ball scoring in all league formats because this is a perfect example. He stunk for 3 weeks. If you did start him, you're either dumb or lucky, or have a terrible team that needed to start him. So like I was tweeting a victory lap that when Joey Bosa was ruled out, I was like, yes, it's Thule time. I was like, I dropped Khalil Mack for Thule and started him because he was good and playing good and playing snaps.
Love him. Still do.
So this is just a prime example of why start sits are not a skill. They are pure luck, and you want to adopt best ball scoring because the best rosters with the best players should win. And if you have a good player who stinks for 3 weeks and then comes out of nowhere with a historic performance, and most people, he was on their bench, just like Devontae Chain on offense the other week. Like,
let me find
it's not a skill. Start sits are not a skill.
Let me find your support line, Steve. I think you need it. I think this is where it all gets aired out.
No, what do you got?
Listen, I'm not going to play Khalil Mack next week.
Exactly.
That's how it goes sometimes. Listen, like I said, he has a gripe against the Raiders. He performs against the Raiders. I'm just not counting on it. And I personally think Joey Bosa being out almost hurt Thule to an extent, but he still played well. He was still disruptive. He still got himself a TFL. It could have been worse. But as we're going to go through the list here, I do want to talk with the linebackers here a little bit. But
Asante Samuel, 24 points on 99% of snaps, saw a game, had an interception carrying him. Michael Davis, 20 points on 99% of snaps. Jasir Taylor, the other corner, 14 points, 68%. Okay, here comes Eric Kendricks, 10 points on 68% of snaps. Dean Marlowe, the safety, 9 points on 100%. Kenneth Murray, 8 points on 100%. Tooley had 8 points on 86%. So his highest snap count of the season. He only gets 8 points. Talk about the linebackers.
Yeah, that's I'm not going to go on a whole rant here. We've gone on long enough here, but Kenneth Murray, you had a line of 5.5 tackles and you got the 100% of snaps, and DraftKings didn't notice that they were keeping the green dot on you, despite Eric Kendricks coming back, and you still didn't hit it. And you've been great the last 2 weeks, and you burnt me. You burnt me bad. I put my hand on the stove. I touched the flame. It hurt. But
welcome to Kenneth Murray life.
I know, but he was so good the last 2 weeks. Both on paper and for fantasy. But him still getting the green dot, they still stuck with him. They didn't pull him from it at any point in the game. So I'm still going to play him next week. I'm still going to play Kenneth Murray next week because I still think they're going to ride without that hot hand. And they want him to work out at the end of the day. They don't want the 31-year-old veteran to work out. They want Kenneth Murray to all of a sudden have a monster year in his contract season. So I'm willing to ride him out next week just because he's still got the snaps and still has the green dot. And I want to follow practice reports as well to make sure that's still the case.
Absolutely. Totally agree. We had Sebastian Joseph, 7 points, 68% of snaps. Austin Johnson, the defensive tackle, 6 points, 53%. Raheem Lane filling in. So him and Marlowe, the safeties, for both Gilman and Derwin James were out. They were not good replacements. 4 points on 100% of snaps. Chris Rumpf, 4 points, 22%. Nicholas Williams, three points, 49%. Morgan Fox, my guy, with a down game, 2 points on only 36%. Don't know why he wasn't playing more. And Andrew Farmer, 1 point on 14%. So story here was Mac and the linebackers really, and Tooley.
Yeah.
And, we kind of sorted.
It'll be Dean Marlowe might be an interesting streamer if Derwin James misses more time. Right. They also JT Woods was also hurt, so that's why we had such bad safety play between Raheem Lane and Dean Marlowe. Dean Marlowe, who was added to the roster just a few days ago, I believe. So it's track injury reports this week for JT Woods and Derwin James.
I think the other guys will be back. I don't think they're like
and Aloy Gilman as well. Yeah.
I don't think any of them are super bad.
Gilman should be back for sure.
Yeah, there we go. All right, we got Dallas, New England. What a throttling this was. Starting with New England, there were 7
Kyle Duggar sighting.
Yeah, Kyle Duggar. 29 points on 90%, 12 solos, 3 assists, 1 TFL, 1 QB hit. So that was 15 total tackles. Miles Bryant got torched all day, but had 25 fantasy points on 100% snaps, 6 solos, 4 assists, 2 forced fumbles. But rough day in real football for him. Jelani Tavai leads the linebackers with 19 points, 66% of snaps. So
garbage shooting.
Yeah, I'm not chasing that. He got a sack to carry his game. Don't chase it. Sean Wade, the corner, 15 points on 89% of snaps. Nothing to really care about, though. Jarrell Peppers, 14 points, 100% of snaps. He's got corner eligibility in certain platforms. So if that's the case, he's a nice little cheat code. But other than that, very net. Dietrich Wise, 12 points on 61%, got home for a sack. Josh Uche signing, 12 points, but only 26% of snaps. Why so low? But he finally got his first sack of the year, so that was nice to see.
That could go up if Matt Judon sidelined.
He was this game. Why didn't he play more? Like
Judon still managed 59%. I'll hold out some hope for next week, but I'm with you that Bill's here to piss us off.
Yeah, Judon might be tough. If it's a pack, those usually are season ending.
It's going to be at least multiple weeks. We should be.
He'll probably have at least a stint on the IR for 4 at the very minimum.
Most likely.
So yeah, fire up Uche going forward. Let's hope that he gets a snap count off because we know his upside is there. Juwan Bentley, game, 9 points on 90% snaps. Jalen Mills, 8 points on 37%. Matt Judon, the 4 points on 59 before the injury. Marty Mapu, 3 points, 50% snaps, though. That's encouraging for the Mapu lovers. Lawrence Guy, 3 points on 49%. Christian Gonzalez, do you have anything on what happened there? Injury or shoulder?
It's currently being said that he is out indefinitely, which
That's
not great because he was really starting to come into his own, not just for fantasy, but also real life. So doesn't seem as serious as the Matt Judon situation, but still something that they are not putting a timeline on. So that's something to be a little bit worried about going forward.
Gotcha. Thank you. Christian Barmore back to reality, 2 points on 61%. Keon White, 2 points, 39%. Devon Godchow, 1.49%. Sam Roberts, 1.19. So yeah, main thing here is Zucci. And Duggar probably will continue to, I think his trajectory is heading up. So don't chase Jelani Tavai. Anything else you got for New England?
Keon White, I'm going to be watching for whether Keon White or
That's Matt's guy.
I like Keon White. I thought he was great at the game.
Yeah.
I think one of them is going to see an uptick with that Judon injury, but I just don't know which one because Bill doesn't know which one, and nobody knows which one. And this week it'll be one of them, and the next week it'll be another. So this will be fun. This will be fun next week, I'm sure. One of them's going to be great.
Very good. That brings us to Dallas. So with the routing again, we keep having this happen with the Dallas IDPs. They have these monster games and everything is all out of whack. So now I did for our written content people, Deron Bland was the only other guy I put into the stud category next to Micah Parsons, who's obviously going to be there every single week. So I'm taking my victory lap there on Deron Bland. 40 points, 78% of snaps, 3 solos, 1 assist, 2 picks, 3 pass defended. Did he return both for touchdowns? Just 1 for a touchdown, right? I think.
I'm not sure.
Honestly, I think just 1.
We're in that game. Van Der Esch had the other one, which is why he finds himself on the list.
Exactly. Right. So, I told you Deron Bland could be played in this game over some of your, normal strong safety. So very proud of myself for that one. Sorry to toot my own horn.
Oh, please do.
This was on the written content, so you got to be a subscriber to get that info. Leighton Vander Esch, 20 points on 100% on the scoop and score, kind of bolstered his day. Jordan Lewis, 11 points, 56%. Damone Clark, 10 points, 45% snaps. I'm not chasing Damone Clark. Yeah, people love him.
I'm that Damone Clark guy that I've battled with Matt about multiple times. It's the linebacker.
It's just the system. Right.
It's just the linebacker 2 role in Dallas is just irrelevant.
If Vander Esch goes down, we're going to be all over Clark. Yep. But until he's playing, 70-80% snaps, you just can't count on.
And in this game, 25 snaps, and he's highly efficient. 6 tackles in a TFL on 25 total snaps is damn good, but you can't rely on that on a weekly basis.
Dante Fowler, 10 points on just 31% of snaps. Donovan Wilson, again, we thought we would see his snaps increase, but they've been bringing him back slowly. And I guess because of the blowout, he only had 9 points on 56% of snaps. Meanwhile, Jerron Kearse, 8 points on 100% of snaps. That's what we want to see out of Wilson. Hopefully he'll get there sooner than later. Sam Williams played garbage time, 8 points, 29% of snaps. I still like him as a talent, but getting a little scared even in dynasty leagues. Stephon Gilmore, I thought would have a better day also, along with Bland, but it was all the Bland show. Gilmore only 5 points on 100% snaps. Big Osi Odigizua, 5 points, 55. He's still a solid, pretty much in a DT required league. He's pretty much a set it and forget it guy. Just kind of a down game here with the script. Neville Gallimore, another DT, 5 points, 33% of snaps. Parson with a bust game, 4 points, 80% of snaps. I saw him hobbling off. I don't know.
With an ankle injury.
But he came back, I think.
He ended up fighting through because he's that type of guy, but he'll definitely be limited in practice this week. As long as we don't see him miss time in practice, he should still be out there.
And listen, you would assume this, I'm totally okay with this, in a blowout like this. Even if he was fighting to get back out there, he probably turned the motor down a little bit, especially with the ankle was bothering him. It's kind of whatever. You're going to have to deal with that every once in a while.
You don't worry about it. You worry about it as much as you worry about TJ Watt's off day.
Exactly. Wanye Thomas, 4 points, 24% of snaps. Malik Hooker, 3 points on 95%. He's like the free safety. Yeah, so even though he plays the snaps, he's not a guy you want.
Mac Jones was not pushing it towards him.
Exactly. Marquise Bell, 3 points, 40% snaps. Dorrance Armstrong, 3 points, 36. That's like he's a tough one to pick week to week.
He'll have a 4-sack game coming up soon.
Exactly, but you'll never pick the right day. Chauncey Golson, 3 points with a 2-point conversion reception on 27% of snaps. Jonathan Hankins, 2 points on 38%. DeMarcus Lawrence, after a great week last week, 1 point on 45. Probably chalk that up to game script. So, hey, I'll leave you with the last word on Dallas. You want?
Yeah, I mean, the word is that we only have one linebacker that we can care about, and it's Van Der Esch until an injury happens or until something flips. And you like DeRon Bland. You made the right call and good stuff on that. So
hey, that's going to be a week to week thing. It was a matchup call. It was really just a matchup call.
I'm still worried about this safety room of what we saw last year. We're not seeing this year, at least in terms of fantasy production. So maybe you're right, and maybe Wilson gets ramped up as he gets eased back in, but it's certainly not great.
Bench him until bench him until he hits 80%. That would be my advice. So, all righty. It takes us to San Francisco, Arizona. Just a putrid IDP game for Arizona. only 55 snaps available. The top scorer, Ezekiel Turner at 14.7 off just 69 percent of snaps, 50% of special teams where he recorded a tackle or two, 4 solos and 6 assists with nothing else. Don't chase that. Catrell Clark, the rookie corner, continues to have solid production, 13.5 points on 98%. That's fine. Kevon Wallace, a decent game with 12 points on 100% snaps. Should definitely be rostered everywhere. Starting in, as a solid DB3-ish, I would say. Dennis the Barbarian, Gardeck, after a down week last week, comes back with 12 points on just 36%
Professor Santa?
Yeah. Yes.
Why doesn't Dennis Gardeck play more if he's the only player that can get to the quarterback on the Cardinals?
Well, Mr. _, that is because Jonathan Gannon is an incompetent weirdo.
It's harsh from an Eagles fan.
Yeah, with good reasoning. I don't know what to tell you, man.
He's the only consistent producer on that defense.
Zaven Collins stinks.
36% of snaps. It just doesn't feel like I can play him. But every week he puts up a solid tackle for, and typically at least a TFL or a sack.
3 out of 4 games with a sack, but that's what we keep saying. I mean, my comparison.
To drink the Kool-Aid, man. I might just drink the Kool-Aid.
My comparison is this is reminding me of Justin Houston with Baltimore the past year or two. He'll have these stretches of crazy production, and then he'll just absolutely disappear. I think the disappearing act is coming. If you want to ride the hot streak and eat the disappearing week and then disappearing weeks going forward when they inevitably come, I wouldn't blame you. That ceiling is there. But, man, if it's not a best ball league, you can't count on the snaps, man. We preach it's a formula. You don't bet on the production as much, against snaps like that, right? Why is he special?
Just look at this defensive line. Look at these names we have in front of us. How is he not playing more? I'm with you, and maybe that's a testament to Gannon. Maybe I'll flip it around and say how little he's playing is helping his production, and maybe that's why he's doing that. But the Zaven Collins experiment is done. It's not working.
Yeah.
And what Cameron Thomas, Victor, I can't pronounce your last name. What
Dimukeji,
man. We're talking 100% snaps between those two guys.
Yeah. That's brutal.
It's frustrating, but listen, Kevon Wallace and Kazir White are the only two IDPs that won out of Arizona. Dennis Gardeck, I'm willing to ride the hot hand because it's just there, but and they're it's working for him, so I don't mind it. But only as a defensive lineman, not as a linebacker.
Kaiser White was a tough one. It was a bad matchup against San Francisco. So
Yeah.
10 points on 100% snaps. He's an auto start for me every week going forward. Marco Wilson, 8.5 points on 98%. Zaven Collins, 8 points on 51%. Jalen Thompson, a bad game, 6 points on 100%.
Disappointing in Jalen Thompson this year.
Yeah.
He's just not being used in the way he was prior to Jonathan Gannon.
The usage is bad. It's Kevon Wallace is who you want. Leaky Photo, 6 points, 76% of snaps. Roy Lopez, 4 points, 36%. Dante Stills, 3 points on 60%. Kevin Strong, 3 points, 55%. Cameron Thomas, 3 points on 35%. Eric Banks, 2 points on 49%. And Victor Dimukeji, 1 point on 49. Those were all those names that I just breezed through were all defensive line.
Oh, and none of them will be on the starting team next year.
This is what we called in the year. You're never going to guess right. These guys are going to be rotated. Victor D, was doing well, and then until he's not. And this is what you're going to get out of Gardeck, too. He's going to do well until he's not. And it's going to hurt you when he's not.
5 defensive tackles there playing over 35% of snaps.
It's unbelievable.
It's nuts.
Again, I think Gannon thinks he has the talent and the players he did in Philly.
He's treating them like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham.
Uh-huh.
They're not.
And what's funny? I actually like Cameron Thomas the most out of all of those guys. So I wish
the least amount of snaps of everyone on this list.
I wish he would get the more playing time because I think he's a good talent. So yeah, not much else there. Just a really brutal matchup for Arizona. So
let's get to the other side of the ball.
Yeah. So San Francisco, not much better. Again, very top heavy. Nobody played 100%, so I don't know how many snaps there were right now. But Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, nice to see them on top, 18 points each at 85 and 82%. So that was nice. Javon Hargrave, 13 points on 56, got home for a sack. Dimador Lenoir, 11 points, 85%, continues to be a very solid, rock solid corner option. Isaiah Oliver is their slot corner. So if you have good matchups based on slot corners, you could throw Isaiah Oliver in as a spot start. 10 points on 62% of snaps. Hufanga, 9 points on 82%.
Disappointing in this matchup. This was the number one matchup for safeties in most scoring formats, and we did not get what we wanted from Hufanga.
Yeah, that stinks. Don't know why. Kendall Sheffield is a name of a cornerback on the 49ers, 8.5 points on 15% of snaps, so very efficient. Do not go chase that. Tashawn Gibson, 6 points on 82%. Ambry Thomas, 6 points, 30%. The big one here is Nick Bosa, only 4 points, 68. What's wrong with Nick Bosa? Is he just rusty?
It's 4 QB hits, man. Like it's
nothing else.
Yeah, no, it's nothing else that obviously hurt a lot of people here in fantasy. But you look at 4 QB hits and you look at that and say, odds are he turns one of those into a sack on most weeks. So it's disappointing not to get the tackles. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I guess the Cardinals weren't playing close to the line of scrimmage that much is what I justify with. Not a lot of runs. Better days ahead. 68% of snaps is also fairly conservative for him. So you can play more than that.
Fair enough. Ark Armstead, 4 points on 61%. Shavarius Ward, 3.5 points on 85%. Bad week for him. Oren Burks, 3 points on 27%. Oren Burks is the Warner and Greenlaw handcuff, I think. So if they do go down, Oren Burks is a guy you'll definitely want on waivers, but knock on wood, let's hope they stay healthy. Jair Brown, the rookie, someone I was high on coming into the year. I think
not played.
Yeah, he just isn't getting the playing time, which shocks me because, Tashawn Gibson is ancient.
Still doing this? We still doing Tashawn Gibson?
Yeah, so maybe we'll see that change, but 3 points on
practice squads of mine.
Same. 3 points on 15% of snaps and 64% on special teams he chipped in. George Odom, 2 points, 21%. Kevin Givens, 2 points, 41%. Cleveland Farrell, 2 points on only 48, so he's seeing the snaps decline. Javon Kinlaw, 2 points on 42%. D. Winters, another linebacker handcuff, 2 points on 14%. And our guy Drake Jackson, 1 point on 58%. Pain. Everyone that week one had people high up when they didn't start him, and now you've been starting him and you're getting crap.
I picked him up. Picked him up.
Of
Picked him up
course.
and confidently played him over Hassan Reddick in week 2 and 3, and I was really just so
That was basically a wash.
whatever. I just can't pick the second defensive lineman in their IDP Invitational, feels like. But yeah, disappointing from Drake Jackson, but nothing new here since that week 1 blow up. We haven't seen much. Cleveland Farrell's been playing well for the 49ers, just hasn't exactly translated for fantasy purposes on some weeks at least. But
he's grading well and getting pressures.
Yeah, the nice thing is outside of Nick Bosa and arguably Travarius Ward, the studs still led the scoring even in a muted week. Hufanga was disappointing this week, but he was still up there with the top scorers among San Francisco. So, you play your stars here and you keep rolling through. I don't think there's anything to change our projections to. Nothing that changes my perception, and unfortunately so, because I wish Drake Jackson would do that.
Absolutely. All right. And that brings us to the last game.
Monday night.
Kansas City and the Jets. I have no idea what's going on tonight so far. But,
I don't either.
We had 59 snaps available to the Chiefs. Drew Tranquill as the Nick Bolton handcuff played 100%, 19 points on 7 solos, 1 assist, and QB hit, forced fumble. Hopefully Nick Bolton returns and Drew Tranquill can.
That was, in my opinion, short of the offensive failings, NFL stuff here. They missed Nick Bolton last night really badly.
Tranquill is only playable when Bolton's out. Put it that way. Mike Edwards, 16 points, but only 44% of snaps. This is 2 back-to-back weeks where he's lived off of big plays. He got a sack along with his other stats. But again, tough to count on that with that low snap count. Trent McDuffie with another one in the win column against L'Jarius Sneed this week, 13.5 points on 98% of snaps. Chris Jones, 12 points on 75%, got home for a sack. That's what he does. Gets a sack or gives you nothing. Leo Chenal, who I think is a better NFL player than Drew Tranquill is at this point. 11 points, not bad. Only 41% of snaps with no Nick Bolton. Played 81% on special teams and just chipped in everywhere.
He looks so much better than Willie Gay.
So good.
Look, he looks good. He made impact plays when he came out there, and that's why you got the TFL on there that Willie Gay didn't. But Andrew Tranquill didn't. But he looked good. The other ones didn't. But until you see the snaps jump, we can't trust it, which is just really frustrating.
Yeah, I know. Still a dynasty stash. I won't ever let him go.
I'm still in on dynasty.
Willie Gay, 10 points on 76%, so he's still maintaining his LB2 role, but it's the Spaz rotation of hell. Michael Dana, 8 points on 85%. L'Jarius Sneed, 8 points on 100%. Justin Reed, 6 points on 100%. He's really the better safety, but just not getting lucky with the big plays again this year. Started off good, but rough couple of weeks.
Starting week 1. Looked fantastic week 1.
Joshua Williams, a cornerback with 6 points, 47%. Shamari Connor, a safety, 4 points on 17%. Derek Nandi, 4 points on 46%. Tershawn Wharton, 3 points on 27%. My guy, George Karlaftis, only 3 points, but played 86% of snaps, only a solo and a QB hit. So he's around the quarterback, but tough one for him.
The problem was the Jets were getting the ball out in 2 seconds after that second drive. It was
a lot of quick plays.
The reason why Chris Jones was double teamed, and that's why he only had a sack, and even that sack was basically a dead play at the end. It was the last play of the second half or of the first half. So it was really a free 4 points for plus another one for a QB hit. It was a gift for IDP owners for Chris Jones. See, Chris Jones could have easily been as down as George Karlaftis was this week.
Absolutely spot on. So Karlaftis is still like a solid DL3 for me, but
he has a 0.4. He really does.
I know it stinks, but I feel like the breakout is right around the corner. It's coming.
Saying it.
Brian Cook, the other safety that you want, only 3 points, 83%. But maybe Mike Edwards is earning more playing time, so we'll have to keep an eye on it.
He should, because Brian Cook is close to unwatchable. It gives me. I almost missed Daniel Sorensen. Almost.
Oh,
Almost.
damn.
He's just not that good, Brian Cook.
Damn.
It's
All
a
right.
shame. He played well last year as a rookie.
The rookie Felix Anduki-Uzoma, the rookie first rounder DN, just 2 points on 22% of the snaps. Do you got any last words for Kansas City?
No, I think it's Trent McDuffie continues to impress.
Mhm.
Another strong cornerback option, but again, that's why you wait on DB, because how many times on this show have we said that's another strong cornerback option?
Absolutely.
Right. Let's get to that New York gangrene.
All right, and the IDP friendly New York Jets had 70 snaps available. Quincy Williams is I've been a very anti Quincy Williams guy, but he's showing me wrong. 30 points, 96% of snaps, 10 solos, 3 assists, 2 TFLs, a QB hit, and 2 passes defended. Right behind him, CJ Mosley at 23 points, 100%. We are expecting that kind of production out of Mosley. Williams is kind of a nice surprise, I think. But Mosley, 4 solos, 7 assists, an interception, and a pass defended. DJ Reed, 16 points on 100% of snaps. The cornerback. Ashton Davis, 11 points on just 17% of snaps, 65% on special teams, living off of an interception this week. So do not chase that. Quinnen Williams, just 11 points. I say just because we have a higher expectations for him on just 66% of snaps. So hopefully nothing's going crazy on there. But did have half a sack and two QB hits. Quentin Jefferson, 8 points on 63%. Michael Carter, the corner, 7 points on 71%. Adrian Amos, the safety, one of the safeties you want, 6 points on 97% of snaps. The one that has been crushing it, Jordan Whitehead, a very down game, 6 points on 100% of snaps. I would still start him with confidence going forward. John Franklin Myers, 6 points, 57%. Sauce Gardner, 6 points on 100%. Michael Clemens, 4 points on 36%. Jermaine Johnson, 3 points on 49%. Solomon Thomas, 3 points, 54%. Bryce Huff, 2 points on 39%. Jamie Sherwood, 1 point, 11%. So I think the nice surprise here is Quincy Williams, right?
Listen, I say this without fantasy bias, and I swear on my life, Quincy Williams is playing as good as any linebacker in the NFL right now. Yeah. He is playing out of his mind, and PFF grades will confirm that. Stats will confirm that. The New York Jets defense will confirm that, because he has been absolutely exceptional. He's just so fast to the ball. Yeah. And he's an every week start right now. You don't view him as an LB2. You don't view him as, anything other than that. You view him as an LB1, and you play him accordingly. I dropped him for Bobby Okereke in a very shallow league, and I'm kicking myself right now. Just because I chased that. And maybe Okereke has 20,000 points right now. We're recording on Monday. I don't know, but it's right. Yeah, it's a good defense, and that's why we saw as many fancy points as we did. Yeah, and normally those Ashton Davis points will go a different direction, and that's why we saw off days from Whitehead and company. But
exactly, kind of a stole. You know how we have TD vultures on the offensive side.
Yeah,
this is kind of vultures here, man. We had a DB vulture in Ashton Davis on the pick there. So
who had 2 interceptions, and it could have been 3. Mosley could have had his second one. Who had that on the bingo sheet for Patrick Mahomes tonight?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, start Jordan Whitehead with confidence, even despite the down game. Be the other main takeaway. So I don't have much else unless you got any last word.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Let the good people know where they can find you and all the fun stuff you're doing that you do everywhere.
Yeah, no, you can follow me on Twitter at Michael__Sicoli. Do all the social media for the IDP guys, as well as we're on the IDP guys newsletter. So if you check the link in IDP guys on the IDP guys Twitter, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that we have out there, as well as the IDP guys newsletter. You can sign up, free to do so, delivered to your inbox every single Wednesday morning with all that defensive news that you know and love. So yeah, that's where you can find it, and that's what you should do.
All right. You and me teaming up here with almost a 3-hour pod. is just
This one.
insane. So if you like this content, we appreciate you throwing us a subscribe on YouTube. This is also available audio only on, of course, Spotify and iTunes. Same thing, the IDP Guys Network. Find us there, follow us there. And hey, if you want awesome written content, awesome rankings, awesome stuff to help you win your IDP leagues, unfortunately, that kind of stuff, you get what you pay for, right? So give us a shot, become a subscriber, use the code IDP plus sign pod for 10% off. Give us a try, see what you think. Let us know in the comments. Again, if you are needing an IDP player to pick up their pace a little bit, let me know. I will bash them. I will call them a bust. I will say I would rather have a different guy over them, and guaranteed breakout coming. So I would be happy to help your slumping IDP players back out of that slump for you. So shoot me a follow on Twitter at Dynasty Santa, and everything going on over at idpguys.org. Thank you guys for listening. See you next week.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.